to Money, Marriage, and Media. I'm your host, Mike, and today we're looking at a channel that I've never seen before. This showed up in my feed, and I figured, you know what? Sometimes I'm always on the search for new content. Again, we're always looking for high-level conversations, right? So this YouTuber is called Lucky Marie, and it's a panel of women. So I said it might be interesting. And then again, the topic is confused men waste time. What is struggle love? So it's three women. So I'm assuming that they're going to be talking about men. Now, again, why is this important? Because the gender war is dumb. We have to start breaking down what each side is actually talking about so we can move forward, right? So we can move the conversation forward. So we're going to jump right in and see what the ladies are talking about. Let's go.
You supposed to stick around because they say women want the men that got the money and this, that, and the other. But we gonna have to understand that he gonna cheat.
When Jada,
I'm sorry, he's gonna exercise options.
When Jada,
Okay, popular YouTube talking point right here, right? And then, but I find that most people who talk about it, they misinterpret what it actually is. The exercising options thing, it's not cheating. Why is it not cheating? Because when it's an option, that means that that the man and the woman discussed it beforehand. That's why it's because again it came from Kevin Samuels, and he enlightened the world about what happens in these high value relationships. Again, I don't focus on high value, but this is one of those topics that comes up so much. It's right up there in the gender war, and it is a great. This topic usually incites the gender war, right? But that's the whole thing. There is that this is why I don't have a problem with it, because if it's one of those things that the two people have worked out in advance, then I don't have an issue with it. And obviously they don't either. That's why I say if this is a marriage and that's what works for them, then hey, I'm not anybody to go and knock against them. Now the problem comes in, and what they're probably about to talk about is if the guy has never said anything. That is cheating. Because I'm probably going. I don't want to get off topic because they talking about that now, but that's not the title of that's like the bottom of the screen. So we're gonna keep moving.
Jada was with Baby and Baby went on tour, you know Baby was with somebody else, and you know Jada was with somebody else.
Okay, clearly I'm too old for this conversation because I don't know who they talking about. Hey, I'm guilty. I'm in my 40s. They clearly are not. So I'm gonna try and struggle through this.
I don't know about.
No pun intended.
I think she's an angel. I don't think she can.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think
She
nothing. I can't see her doing nothing bad.
I can't either. Let me say the super chat. Let me get through the super chat. Thank you, Freezy. He said you should only be with someone you share the same values. It doesn't make sense otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
He also said again, thank you, Freezy. Struggle love is beautiful if both partners are supporting their relationship towards success. Struggle love is beautiful. Let me tell you what I think of struggle love. The struggling part I think of is.
I actually agree with that last super chat. It can be good because it's a what a wise man was called as an IKEA marriage. You know, you two get together, and then y'all basically coming up through the struggle together. It's funny they didn't recognize this in the beginning because most women would appreciate a relationship where the man and the woman where they build a life together. You know, they build that empire together. But I guess. I don't know. Maybe let's see what happens. I'm just surprised that didn't click because that's usually what women talk about a lot. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy.
Is those men that have a hard time comprehending communication. Which, let me say it like this. You ever been with a dude where everything would have been cool, but they want you to talk out your problems. When you saying your damn problems, it's no change behavior. Or it just seemed like every time you're expressing it, he has a defense, or it's like more of a, oh, you tripping. You always got something. That's the part I think of when I think of struggle love. I don't necessarily think of financial. I think of the struggle from the standpoint of it's a struggle loving your motherfucking ass, because as I'm trying to learn you, as I'm trying to also get you to learn me, we keep hitting a brick wall because I'm communicating with you, but dealing with men, you have to figure out how to bring stuff up without hurting their ego, and everything hurt their.
Gender War Basics 101. That's what we're looking at. the stuff she's talking about is often used to incite the gender war. And I don't know anybody's status on the panel. I don't know if they're married or not. To me, you're either married or you're not. So I don't know. I suspect the way this young lady is talking, I don't think she's married, because the reality is that marriage is about compromise. Oftentimes, so little male perspective here. Oftentimes, when you're dealing with a guy and you have the issue that she's talking about, to where you constantly have to remind him of things. Look, I'm gonna just be brutally honest. A lot of times, those things are not a priority to him. That's why he can't remember to do them. Now, there could be multiple reasons why they're not a priority. He could have other things going on, especially if it's your husband. The other thing that might be going on there is that your value to him, your value may not be high enough for him to warrant enough time to go and do those things. Hard pill to swallow, I know it, but a lot of times, unfortunately, that's what's going on. Well, why is he with me? A lot of times it's consistent sex. Men will go through a whole lot that they're getting consistent sex, and you may do a lot of things that are displeasing or to him or pissing him off. He's just not going to say anything because it's consistent sex. Sounds weird, I know, but ladies, a lot of times this is how we think. So what I would say is that, if your goal is to get married, if that guy is, y'all need to be having a serious conversation. I don't recommend any woman commit to a man who's not interested in who his goal is not marriage, especially if yours is. So if this guy if he wants to get married and within a reasonable amount of time, then I would say that it's worth trying to work it out, because you're already together anyway. If you shouldn't be with a man if you don't see yourself getting married to him. That's plain and simple. So in her scenario, you got to get to the bottom of what is that guy's priorities, because something is preventing him. Because guys respond very positively or very well to direct communication. By that I mean that if you're upfront and direct with him, a lot of times men will tend to respond well to that, as in, we understand it. It's when you start getting, when things start getting convoluted is when guys usually start to struggle. So if you're being upfront and direct with him and he's still not giving you what you need, then that relationship may be unbalanced. Because again, most guys are going to stay on board if there's consistent sex. So if he's not fulfilling the things that you're requiring, then he may feel like the relationship is out of balance. In order to balance the scales again, he's saying, well, I can't do that because things are not right here and I'm having to do too much for this. And it's throwing him off balance. But I digress. Let's keep going. Let's see. I'm hoping this doesn't turn into a complaining video, because again, the gender war is dumb.
No,
Sensitive.
I'm inclined to think they more sensitive than us.
Very sensitive.
How would you? Okay, so let me just hypothetical. You with a man, you love him a lot, but he's not pleasing you sexually. How do you tell him without hurting his ego? Exactly. There's no fucking way he's going to be hurt. So then you gotta.
False. There is a way. You're gonna have to be upfront with him. Tell him what you like. Most guys, believe it again, this is a great example. Again, these are gender war topics, but like I said, we got to, every now and then we need to go through these, because we got to start breaking this stuff down. So here's an uncomfortable truth about men. Yes, sex is important to us, but you know what's also important to us? Making sure that you enjoy it. So if you're telling a guy, the best time to tell him is probably during the act. As long as it's more instruction based, then most guys are not going to have an issue with it, especially if it gets you to finish. How do I say this? To finish quicker or to finish stronger. Yeah, most guys are going to be open to hearing about that. So I would say if you guys are in love, if you guys have been together for a while and it sexually is not working, you need to bring that up. Don't just sit there and lie to the guy and make him and stroke his ego, because eventually he's gonna find out. And if you throw it back in his face, that doesn't end well. Again, why do we do that? Especially if we know the gender war is dumb. And I'm going to keep saying that because we have to move past this stuff.
Sit there and fake it, and to me that is a struggle. Like we literally got to dismiss the sexual gratification in women because you can't communicate that to men.
Yeah, that's hard. Like, even if he gets over it, initially he's gonna be offended. There is really no going around that.
Yeah, you're for sure this ego. Like, he probably not even gonna want to have sex with you no more. Like, he gonna be like,
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. They could tell us all day, I don't want you because you fat, you got a weave in your hair, you woo. You also not this, I don't like that, but yet and still
don't know how to please everybody.
We can't.
This 100% is a complaining section. You can tell because they're conflating two things. The guy having standards, right? And his sexual ability, I guess we could call it, his ability to perform in the bedroom, as if those two things are equal. They're complaining because the guy has standards on how the woman, because he's telling the standards of how what he's attracted to. And see, the argument is that, well, he can't perform in the bedroom, so that's not fair. So women don't have standards for how a guy should look when he approaches them? Yeah. Like I said, we got to go through these sometimes.
Can't tell you that you sexually not hitting the wall if you kind of get what I'm saying. You're not really.
All you can say is your dick little, and all they gonna say is I still fuck. So.
Right, but why is that like a thing? Like, he don't even care. And
It's like they don't even care. Like,
dude, I
you did.
That don't even count. I'm not counting. I'm bumping coochies with you. That don't count.
This is a lesbian.
Okay, more shaming language. I think I'm about done with this one. Because, again, this is gender war, the gender war basics. You know, it's a complaining session about women complaining about men. When you see these sessions, you know, the first thing goes to my mind is that, you know, are these women in relationships? If they are, well, it really goes to, are these women married? Probably not. Why do I say that? Well, number one, because I know the marriage rates. I have to. It's part of, you know, I got to keep up with this stuff for the YouTube channel. But also, what does that say about your husband? You know, oftentimes women will, these types of conversations are important because, again, it's all women. So you get to see what women actually talk about. But because a lot of times women will have conversations behind the scenes where there are no men present. I've been told from a good source, my wife, it says that women do hold women accountable. They just don't do it in public. I'm starting to believe that. But again, you know, conversations like this are hard to listen to. But at some point, like I said, we got to start breaking this stuff down. Because otherwise, if no one tells these ladies anything, I'm getting a strong impression that these women have no knowledge of the male experience, and they don't really know men that well. It makes me wonder, like, what's the relationship like with their father? Because a lot of times that is the source relationship for women. How they perceive men, they usually looking through the lens of their father. So, you know, because that's how. But look, that's a whole nother topic. I'm going to leave this one here. You guys check out the channel if you want to. Like I said, it popped up in my feed. I haven't seen any more of the channel from Lucky. Well, it may come up again. If it comes up in my feed again, you know, I'd be happy to check it out. And, you know, we can do a video of it. But until then, I'm going to stay ghost till the next time. Hey guys, we're back with the sequel to the last video where we had the panel for the ladies on the Pief JR. Go ahead, there'll be a card at the top here for the link to the previous video. But this is part 2 of what women bring to the table, and it's the second part of them reacting to a reaction of another video. Again, I'm not posting that video because that part of the video, because it just looks, it's too meta for me. It seems unnecessary. But you can go ahead and check out the Peep JR, because these ladies do definitely have some high level conversations. And like I said the last time, it looks like there was some stuff that was missing that I was expecting them to get to, because again, YouTube talking points, everybody loves to talk about this stuff. So let's jump right in and get it going.
Hurt to be an educated woman if you're dealing with an educated man. I just wouldn't put it at the top of the list like something I'm a boast about on the first date, because I don't think that it matters to them as much as it matters, just not as a, what's the word? It's not a
like a priority or
a priority. It shouldn't be like the first.
She's right. Yeah, it's not. Beauty, yeah, number one.
Thing like it's nothing that's gonna put you at the front of the line if that's what you're trying to do over another person.
I'm mistaken. I think you said something interesting about this humbling process that happens a lot over social media. And as you're kind of breaking down the stats, I'm now curious, because I think we all know this.
Why do I get the feeling the humbling experience she's talking about is the gender war? The gender war is dumb.
School to pipeline, the school to prison pipeline system. We all know young Black men, the challenges and struggles that they face, the lack of support in their education. And so the numbers just make sense that women have more of these opportunities. There's more grants, there's more encouragement, with single mothers empowering their daughters. There's this push, right? And even with people who are single mothers, like there's this push to provide for their children, right? Is it, and like this isn't like about it being a feminist conversation, but just like a real conversation. Is it like a toe-to-toe out of lack? Is it like a jealousy thing, a lack of opportunity thing, just like a lack mindset of, I don't have this, and so it doesn't mean anything because you have it?
I would agree with that, because
Wait, what? Okay, I again, this is Inez is leaving me dumb. I literally am lost as what she just talked about. Maybe I missed part of the video. This is a clip, by the way. So if you, I may have to go go check out the original version of this live stream. Maybe this will be better context, because that made no sense. I don't know.
What I find is, Mistaken and I, we go to the streets and we don't mind asking people that we know who would fit the category of people would consider them the desired guy, and most of the guys who we met who are educated want a woman who is educated. Not one stated that they did not want a woman. We've heard Trill say it. We've heard the men on his panel who have stated they want educated women. So I agree with what you're saying. It just depends on, and it's not even that. What I say, people like minds. Put it that way. So if you're into education, let's take away the desire. If you are into education, you more than likely want a spouse who is also into education. If it doesn't matter to you, then you may want a spouse who it doesn't matter to. It's just about compatibility. Everybody is not for you. This woman just was not for him. And I do agree that she shouldn't, you shouldn't boast about it, because he's right. That's not something you come on a dinner table and you're like, well, I have this, and this. A guy's looking like, well, that's not going to put you to the forefront of being like, ooh, she's got all of this, So I agree that men totally date different than women do. They don't look for that when you're going on a date initially. But it certainly does not hurt to be an educated woman if you're dealing with an educated man. I just wouldn't put it at the top of the list like something I'm a boast about on the first date, because I don't think that it matters to them as much as it matters, just not as a, what's the word? It's not a
Yeah.
Like a priority or
a priority. It shouldn't be like the first thing. Like it's nothing that's gonna put you at the front of the line if that's what you're trying to do over another person. You know, there are other things that they look for first. They're into beauty first, and everything else after that. That's just universal. But one of the things that stood out to me that I noticed in this particular video, because one of the guys was like, "Well, I see nothing wrong." It was like he came back after her, but the difference was she was saying, what does she bring to the table? And while you may not like what she brings to the table, she never once degraded a black man.
Mm-hmm.
She never once called him out of his name. She just stated what she brought to the table.
Okay, so yeah, guys, go back and watch that video. In my opinion, the woman that they're talking about, yeah, she didn't. It's exactly how Shan said it is. The problem is that she came off as condescending. Yeah, we're getting to know each other, and you come off as condescending. Most guys, that's an immediate turnoff. Well, let me put it this way, ladies, the ladies who are watching this, the guy that you want, that comes off as condescending, and he's just gonna more than likely, he's probably put you in the sex only category. Because if he starts to feel like you're looking down on him, you just became a conquest of his, and once that's over with, he's gonna be out of there. He's not gonna take you serious. So, I mean, I agree with what she said so far as it depends on when you want to say that stuff. You know, discovery always trumps disclosure. So let's keep that in mind. But let's keep going.
But when he came back with his rebuttal, he decided it was an opportunity to try to put, like Mistaken said, put black women in their place. Oh, you ain't pretty much, so to speak. And that's the difference in arguments. Whenever
Buddy scenario though is he never said that. He only thing he did was refute the claims that she made about the statistics. And if you go back to that previous video again, Mistaken addressed those things. Some of them were wrong, some of them were right, but you know, that's the way it goes with statistics, especially when you're recording stuff. So
whenever you have to belittle somebody in the middle of your argument, that means you have not won. You that to me is automatic, just an issue for me. But that's just.
Do you think it that the whole kind of like what you were saying, piggybacking off of what you were saying, Inez, about the that humbling process? Do you think that the education thing and the financial thing typically said, like men that say it doesn't matter to them, or your degrees don't matter, is that comes from, like, if I know as a man I'm coming to the table and you may have a degree and I don't, that degree is going to mean less to me because I don't have? Or is it that regardless across the board, if the man has education or not, that they don't consider the fact that she's educated as any part of something that's extra that she's bringing to the table?
No,
okay, you know, I've said this before, and the main reason why men don't care is because we know that most women would prefer the guy to be the breadwinner, right? So in that instance, how do your degrees, how does your career, how does your income help the guy do that? Most cases it doesn't. That's why we don't care. It doesn't help us get what we want. So I mean, that's like a guy who's talking about his shoe collection. I got, like, I'm up to about 15 different Jordans. I got them clean. They're all in the shoebox. They look brand new. Never laced them up. Never worn them. Most women will be like, oh, okay. That's exactly how most men feel about your career. Hey, that's cool for you, but it doesn't benefit me. So why should I care about that?
I think that's a great question. I think when I hear a lot of these topics and like this put down of Black women in general, whether it's financial or education, skin tone, body shape, whatever, I hear a lot of like internalized misogynoir, like this combination of racism and misogyny kind of mixed in together, this constant put down of taking away Black women in terms of their femininity, in terms of what they bring to the table, in terms of how they show it. It's this constant put down from larger society that then shows up in Black men as well, right? So I think regardless of the topic, you're going to hear somebody in the manosphere talking something about Black women. And it's unfortunate that so many people take what greater society says and take that on in and of themselves and then project it onto the people at the bottom of the totem pole.
Okay. Man, this video, I'm gonna have to cut this one short because it's like, again, it's citing the gender war, which is dumb. But the real question is that, because what she just said is everybody's dumping on Black women. I mean, you can call that persecution, but those are bad choice of words. My question would be, if the whole world is telling you this stuff, and what's the tipping point to start saying that, you know what, some of this stuff might be true. We need to start working on this. I mean, we had to bite the bullet as Black men. You know, we were underemployed. A big percent of the Black male population was in prison. We had this stereotype of being lazy. We had to fix that. Nobody was going to do it for us. We couldn't wait on other people. We had to go improve our image. We had to change it ourselves, to the point where, over 50% of Black men are in the middle class. Less than, or 94% of Black men are not in prison. It's only 6% that are in prison, despite the stereotype. So again, we had to work on our image. But again, it's not to say that everything's fixed, because no, we still have problems, right? But again, this is why I say the purpose of this channel is because we need more average men who are speaking up and speaking to the lives and the goals that we have for our families, right? But, it's obvious they're talking about Black women as an image, because Black women do have an image problem. Do I think that the majority of Black women are in a negative spot or have things wrong with them? No, I don't think it's bad as people make it out to be. But there's still an image problem there. And again, you can't expect the world to change their perception of you. You have to change it yourself. So Black women need to get together. I mean, but again, that would probably be the importance of having channels like this, because Lapeef Jr. is not a woman. He's a guy. So the fact that he is lending his platform to give women a chance to, to talk about their issues. I find it ironic, though, that I've yet to see a video of them talking about Black women's image. It might be there. I just haven't seen it yet. I mean, I will keep looking, because that's a definite conversation that I think that needs to be had. Because again, she was just talking about that, about, society is dumping on Black women and their image, Or I was just talking about it. I can't remember at this point, but we're going to get back into the video because I'm starting to forget what they were talking about, which means I'm getting off topic. Let's get back.
Society-wise, right? It sounds really bitter, if I'm going to speak plainly. It sounds like a grasp to maintain control, that, if I can put you down and you still come back to me, then like I have a certain level of hierarchy in this relationship. It's a little weird. It's
actually interesting to hear her say that, because men in general have been dealing that for probably about the last 30 or 40 years. Black men in particular. Yeah. I mean, that's really interesting to hear her say that, but okay.
a little weird.
I think a lot of men who kind of speak like that for sure are just insecure in some aspect of their life, whether it's financial or just them being.
Here we go. I tell you, inside the gender war. Oh boy, this is. All right, let's hear what she got to say. She started with an insult. Insecure. Small dick energy.
Being the man who they think they're supposed to be, or mentally, spiritually, something is missing in there. And when a woman kind of comes and is boastful and just saying all the things that she does and has, and it punches him in that wherever that insecurity is in him. And so to make himself feel better, he'll say things to kind of try to put her down or put her back into her place.
The major problem I have with what she just said is that nobody likes boastful people. Men don't like women who are boastful. Women don't like men who are boastful. But why are we talking about that as if it's only one way? We're trying to keep the gender war going? Is that what we're doing?
And I think even the conversation of what you bring to the table is a conversation like men typically pursue women, right? So it's like, first of all, sir, you have to have your table and then know what you're looking for to put on your table. Like shouldn't ask somebody what they're providing. You are looking to finish putting the places, on your table. So if you don't even know what you're looking for, to ask her what she provides is like, what are you doing? Why are you even talking?
Okay, so I want to address this now because this is, again, a popular YouTube talking point, and we got to start breaking this down. Why do men ask, well, what do you bring to the table? Okay, well, the table is obviously a metaphor for the relationship. You want to know why guys ask that? Because they don't want to waste their time. You're obviously attractive, that's why the guy's talking to you. But the real reason why he's asking that is because he wants to know, outside of your beauty and sex, what else is there? Direct question, but a lot of times women tend not to know how to answer it. And again, guys come up with this because we don't want to waste our time. It's like, is all you can offer me is your good looks and sex? That's going to be cool. They're asking if I'm going to put her in the short-term category. I'm going to put her in the short-term category, or could there be something more here? Yeah, I have yet to see a panel of women actually peel back the layers and actually break that down. Most of them just get frustrated and don't want to answer it. Number one, don't want to answer the question. Number two, use some kind of shaming language or an insult to as a response to the question. But gender war, like I said, are we trying to end it or are we trying to keep it going? I don't know. Starting to sound well. Let's go.
Talking to her if you didn't feel like she filled those spots in that you were looking to fill. So, I don't know. This conversation is.
So do you think that men, okay, and I know that some women get upset even when a man be like, so what do you bring to the table? I've known some women that are just like, oh, when I hear that, I just want to cringe. But
I'd love to hear why they cringe.
In taking it for what it is that I guess they're asking. And you, like in that situation, she's explaining, this is what I bring to the table. So do you think that men are genuine when they're asking what you're bringing to the table? Or do you already think that they have an agenda of what it is they're looking for? And instead of asking that, they don't ask that directly?
I think that
I still stand by my answer, and it is what we're looking for. Because again, if women, we want to be the head of the household, we want to lead a relationship, and a lot of times women want us to lead. Okay, well, if I'm lead, I got to know what I'm working with, and instead of just taking months of spending months of time of taking you out of paying for dates, no, let's go ahead and talk about this now. A lot of times, what happens is that women don't like that question because it tends to get to the point quicker, and they would rather spend they'd rather have the option of the freedom to get to know you first. Because remember, men are looking for reasons to qualify you. Hence, what do you bring to the table? That lines up with what I said before. Women oftentimes are looking for a reason to disqualify you. That's a lot of times why women have an issue if you remove the power for them to disqualify you. If you start taking that away, women usually tend to take offense to that. It's really just a power dynamic. But again, why is it from a woman's standpoint? I don't understand that, because at the end of the day, like I said, you want the guy to be the leader. Then you have to give up some control, some power to him anyway. Otherwise he's not the leader in the relationship. You are. So, yeah. Let's keep going.
Let me just say this before you even get into that. If I were on a date with her, it's the way the approach is very unattractive. If I were a dude, I wouldn't have gotten excited about that either. Okay, I think it's about just being humble. Just chill. It'll come out that you have a degree. It'll come out that you have all of these things. I think that there's a cockiness that kind of comes with it, a little ego maybe that comes with it, that may be a little turn off. So if she were more ladylike,
condescending, remember? Yeah.
And then it comes up like, oh, where have you studied? Oh, I've studied in men aren't really turned on by, oh yeah, and I got this and I got that and I got this and that and that. They're more like, if it comes up in conversation, you just bring it out.
I said this before, discovery trumps disclosure. It's a great quote by a wise man. But it literally, and this also applies to women. You could definitely use that to your advantage. If the guy hasn't asked if you can cook, surprise him by cooking him a meal. If you know you can throw down in the kitchen, don't tell him that. Let him find out through you cooking. I'm telling you, it magnifies his response or the surprise, and be like, oh my God, she cooked so good. Yeah, I'm telling you, this works. So, and same thing for the guys too. No woman wants a guy who goes around bragging about how much money he makes at his job. No, if she asks what you do for a living, okay, tell her, leave it there. And we gotta have the but I've already explained how I feel about salary. I don't think it's a good judge of how you're doing with your finances, but it does for women. It's a big cue in lifestyle. It's also a big reveal. It's a big discovery about ambition, and that is one of the attraction triggers for women. So, but look, this is definitely this has elements of a high level conversation. I can't say whether or not the ladies actually got there, but it did give us a lot of talking points for us to break down. And that being said, I may end up using this video as a reference, because again, we've got these YouTube talking points that are perpetuating the gender war. If we don't start breaking this stuff down, it's never going to end. So, but we're gonna leave it here. I'm gonna say ghost to the next time. Peace. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media. And today we're looking at the Daily Wrap-Up crew. Young guys are doing their thing. Now, to me, these guys are probably in their mid to late 20s, but to me, I'm 41, so to me, yeah, they're young guys. But they actually been holding their own on this podcast. Now, what we're gonna have here is they usually interview women, but their age group is that I think they usually interview women who are of their age. Now, a couple videos ago, I mentioned a theory that women tend not to mature until their options start to dwindle. It's at that point where they say, oh man, it's a lot of younger women out here who I'm competing with, and I don't have as many options as I did before. I might need to develop some things outside of my looks. So it fits into that age range where women are just coming into that prime. So that's why I think it's important to take notes, because again, the gender war is dumb and we need to be moving on from it. But it's not just, women who are older that it affects younger women too. It speaks to the actual age or mentality. I think that, well, let me hold some conclusions to the end. We're going to go ahead and get started here, and then let's see what we got here, right? Now, sound off in the comments if you guys actually follow Daily Wrap-Up crew. If not, go ahead and check them out. But let's see what we got.
How much does a man need to make to earn your submission?
Pretty basic topic.
You don't act like you always hear women, I submit to the right man, this, that, and the third. Like, You don't, let me guess, you don't
I
hear
know
that,
she
right?
got an answer. We go right
Yeah,
to you.
let's go right
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I know you look anxious.
So anxious.
I don't know. Enough for two people. Have fun.
Personal theory. I'm starting to wonder if women actually grasp the concept of like numbers when it comes to income. Like, are they just saying? Because look, these YouTube is full of videos of women saying we want a man that makes $100,000 a year. Like, YouTube's the only place that's saying that. Because again, 5 years in financial services, right? I made plenty of high income earners, but women are just, in real life, women don't ask for numbers like that. So I have a theory that women don't know numbers like that. The reason they say 100,000 is because it just sounds good on camera. So, what she's saying is not that far off because, again, I don't think women know numbers like that. So, especially because these women look rather young. They're probably teenagers, maybe early 20s. So, yeah, okay.
What kind of fun?
Fun. Like, I'm the type of girl, I like to go out. Every week. I want to go here, I want to go here, I want to go here. I do want you to buy me this, buy me that, do this. So.
What are you paying for?
What do you mean?
I just asked a simple question.
What do you mean? What am I?
What are
paying
you
for?
paying for?
I'm paying.
For what?
My rent, my phone bill.
No. I'm not talking about that because he's paying his rent, his phone bill. When y'all are going out this times a week, what are you paying for?
I'm supposed to pay
Bruh.
on a date.
Bruh.
Okay. Yeah, much more.
And right off the bat, she is starting to prove the theory. Young, somewhat attractive. So her mentality is guys are supposed to pay for everything and I don't have to do anything. I just have to be me. To some extent, there are guys that are, somebody's taking her out, obviously. So, yeah. Now, if you were to ask a woman that age about marriage, that's not on her mind. Let's go.
Women like her.
If you're not my boyfriend, if we dating, why I gotta
but you already expected him to do that fun for you, right?
Right. If he's not your boyfriend, you're dating. Why does he have to take you out 5 times a week? Like, because what?
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
Oh, shout out to you.
If
man.
we're going out, you have to pay.
Shout out to you, man.
That's not. No.
Whoever's dating you, shout out to.
But
shout out to him,
these are the women that we were just talking about earlier, because then they can be bought.
Listen,
You get what I'm saying?
Food,
I'm telling you.
Food.
Yeah, he's gonna try to feed you something else.
Okay, and he can try. Right.
I mean,
and try and try.
Mm-hmm.
Try and try again, but
listen,
so he gotta exert his
but
resources.
it's food.
So why can't you pay for the food as well?
We
Like,
eating it. So, you don't understand it?
I understand. She has a selfish attitude. Guys are nothing more than a wallet for her, or a means to have fun. She is, I would say she's the fun time girl, but the way her attitude is, the guy is not having a lot of fun. She's just using him to pay for everything, to give her a bunch of different experiences. And meanwhile, what does he get in return? According to her, he gets grace with her presence. This is what I would call, you know what? We're gonna move on. I'm not gonna say anything because that's somebody's daughter. I feel bad for her. If she's like that, I question again, did she grow up with her father? Is that the type of, because no man wants to raise a daughter that's going to respond like that to other men. Because at the end of the day, a father knows the man you're treating like that is going to want something in return. So no man wants a daughter who's going to act like that, who's just using men. Because at some point you're going to treat the wrong one like that. And he's going to expect, he's going to want to take something back in return. We got to do a better job of raising. This is why nuclear families are so important. This is why marriage is so important. We got to do a better job of raising our kids. She has a very much a me attitude. There's no way that a woman should make it to her 20s thinking like that. That the guy is just supposed to do everything, and clearly it's not even her boyfriend. They just said we're just dating, we're just getting to know each other. Well, what's in it for the guy? I'm not saying you need to be giving him sex. You definitely shouldn't, because you're not even serious yet. But at some point, well, you know what? Let's keep going, because it might get better. It might turn around.
Eating food.
What you got to say about this? Like,
I mean, like, I told you, everyone has their own preference, but me per se, like, it's not more so how much you make that makes me find it like.
Take note of the fact that a lot of women do this, and they'll say everyone has their own preference. Everyone is different. Translation: I don't agree with what she said, but I don't want to hold her accountable for it while we're here in public, because I don't want her to seem like I want us to still be friends after this. That's a major problem, because if it was a guy explaining negative behavior like that, women would want you to call him out, as we should. But then again, they're young. They still have some maturing to do. Nothing wrong with that.
Like submissive to you, but it's more so I want to see if you're financially stable, how you hold your bread, how you take care of your bread. Because like we're in our 20s, so it's like I feel like you don't. They always say the saying like you don't always get your 20s back, but you always.
It sounded pretty good.
You want to enjoy your 20s, but at the same time too, yeah, you never get. Well, for females, we don't get our 20s back. I mean, guys, y'all do what y'all gotta do.
We get our 20s.
You never.
No, I mean
get
because
your,
they in their prime, like once they hit 30, then what Kevin say? They hit the wall.
Okay. I'm actually impressed. That was a high level concept, especially for somebody who is in that age range of their prime. Most women don't think like that. Very impressed. I'd love to see, I'd love to have a conversation with her parents, find out, what they were teaching her. It's good stuff.
All the other shit, like, so they
you never lose that. No, there's never a cap, but your 20s is like fun. Never.
For women, yes.
Never.
Wow.
If you take care of yourself.
There's not a cap for women.
No, I feel like that.
It's some badass bitches in
their 50s.
How many?
There's even more younger.
How many?
A lot.
How many?
A lot.
A lot.
What?
All right, name two.
Who in their 50s?
Oh yeah, name two. There's a lot.
Angela Bassett,
Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Blige is a bad bitch.
She's a
Auntie
bad
Monet.
Where a lot of them are like,
She's
right.
a bad bitch.
Yeah.
What's that?
No,
other
it's a few.
lady?
It's a few.
I would say.
But
He just named a bunch of celebrities who have trouble maintaining relationships. Mary J. Blige is not married. I don't know the other people that they named. Angela Bassett, I don't know, but yeah, no guy is checking for them. Maybe guys who are older than they are, but no, you get to that, you make it to your 50s and you're single, nobody's checking for marriage from you. No, I should say the majority of men are not checking for marriage for you. Sex, absolutely. Marriage, you got to remember the main reason why men want to get married is legacy through children. You're in your 50s, you're not having no more kids. So what is the motivation for a guy to marry you? Especially a guy that is that can stand on his own. Maybe have a little bit of delusion there. Well, that's typical when you're in your prime. You think it's gonna last forever. So,
I mean, in reality, I mean, in regular life, up and down the street, it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying?
They got money.
These dudes, you know what I mean? Our uncles, our fathers, our grandpapas, they still be into young baddies. That's a lot of men tend to go to younger women because
we gotta turn up. All the old niggas is looking for us. The medium niggas is looking for us. Niggas our age is looking for us. So we gotta have fun. Why the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yo, shout out to you.
You ain't having
Thank
fun,
you.
man.
You know, you have to. Only get one life.
I just want to, and if I take you out 3 times and you don't offer to pay for nothing.
Okay, if I offer, that's different. But if I offer, you still gonna make me pay though?
Yep.
I feel like it should be equal.
y'all think she actually offering to pay for dates? Come on now.
First date, you know, if you really
first
like me, you
date
take
should be
me.
the
So I want to
vibe.
at least see that you are actually interested in stuff like that. Second date, let's do 50-50. Like you pick me up, you pay for the food, I pay for your gas.
why you rolled your eyes? Your eyes,
I didn't roll my eyes.
your eyes did the willy bounce.
I feel like
We got it on camera. We got it on camera.
I can take it.
no. For food though, okay, I can understand like going to little shits, whatever. I'll pay mine, you pay yours. But for food,
Yeah, it could be the smallest things, simplest things. Like, yeah.
I mean, I agree with what you said. I do. The
even
first
be
date,
so
I
warm yet. When you want to be with me? I just forget.
No, because I just
That was not the game plan.
I just feel like that's fair.
You're kind of hard to agree with.
I feel like that's fair. Like the first
Food
date should be on the guy. I do feel like the
I
first
paid
date.
half. Actually, I think it was just silly. I paid half before, but I mean, why?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and break down what happened here. You had a crack in the sister code. That's what she started talking to her. Like, you came with me. We supposed to agree with everything. You know, this is very frustrating. The chances of we need nuclear families. That's all I'm gonna say.
Why? It's food.
So if you was on a date with a girl, who
That's
would
different.
Why?
Why you keep saying it's
Depending,
food?
unless
Why is it different if you didn't?
unless it's like a date.
Then she got to pay if she. But if it's
If it's two
fam,
girly girls, yes, two families.
but what makes it different?
You
I don't.
want to be a man so bad, be a man. I'm talking about regular men too, not just, you want to be a man, step up. Pay for the food.
Yeah, a lot of guys back in the day, since y'all want to talk about guys back in the day, would have paid for it. Fully.
Whoa, what?
Don't even care.
It's food.
Like, listen,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
but
because I feel
y'all
like
not
that's a
women.
part
Y'all
of-
not women
Yes,
from
we
back in the
are.
day. No, y'all not.
Yes, we
And y'all not
are.
men from back in the day.
Huh?
What's the difference
From what?
in terms of us regarding the women from back
Traditional
in the day?
value.
How
Yeah.
so, though?
A lot of
Regarding
women-
to what though? What's the traditional value that's decreased?
Chastity. I say it straight up, chastity.
The same way cooking and cleaning. A lot of women ain't doing
How
that.
do you know that
How
though?
do
You
you
cannot
know
compare
that?
that.
Right.
Unless
Y'all say y'all not cooking and cleaning.
Y'all.
we never
'Cause I
said
cook
that.
and
Hell
clean.
yeah.
So,
Listen.
And that's why I deserve
Listen,
a
this
lot.
is what
Housewife.
this is what I don't want us to
For
do.
true.
We can't use our anecdotal experiences because just like y'all say, niggas cheat. It's easy for us to just come over here and be like, well, we don't do it, so therefore that must not be true. We can't do that. We got to think outside of ourselves, right? And look at the collective of people because it's easy.
Obviously, right? You're on a podcast that's being watched by thousands of people. Yeah, it's not just about you. But on the other hand, in that age group, it literally is just about them. That's a lot of entitlement going on there. Again, that's why we need nuclear families. We have to teach our kids to grow up faster. Not in the sense that they're traumatized, but their maturity level needs. We need to make sure that we're raising mature kids. Not, oh boy. Let's keep going.
Easy for y'all can say what y'all want about men. It's easy for us to be like, well, that's not us, so therefore it's not true.
I get
This
it.
is what y'all keep doing. Like you can, I understand y'all the exception. Y'all the 3 out of like 20 million out there. Like,
two.
Oh, my fault. 2.5. That's the exception.
No,
I get that. Like, you
you
know what I'm
had it right
saying?
the
But
first time
we gotta
through.
look at the
Right.
overall.
Now she want to
collective,
stand up
like,
for
Yeah, don't come for my friend.
Come to the mic and stand up for. What you said?
Yeah, don't come for my
Don't come.
friend.
Yo,
If it's food, y'all not gonna pay for food. Y'all be having y'all girls
Yo,
pay.
what's with you this food, man?
Because that's what it's getting at.
Okay, but all right. So when
A
you're
nigga don't like to be fed.
Huh?
A nigga don't like to be fed.
I'll
you
cook
cooking
for you.
Oh, this should be good.
Right. The issue is
Equal,
about
buy
to say
I'll
that.
cook
groceries,
for
she
you.
cook.
For me, you buy the groceries, of course I will
Right,
cook.
I'll
But if
cook.
we out, how you look? Yo, listen.
In other words, the guy should provide everything and lay at my feet and make me feel better. Make me feel good. Well, meanwhile, I offer no value in return. Essentially, that's what she's saying. That's her mating strategy, is the guy should do everything. He's the man, because you heard her say it before. You want to be the man, then you should do everything. That's not how it works. Man, and it's sad because I kind of want to hear more from the girl that's sitting next to her with the locks, because like that was I feel like we were on the cusp of like a high level conversation there from what the stuff she was saying earlier, but it kind of just the attention shifted back to this girl in the pink, and I think it was because there was more potential for her to say something that was gonna go viral. But anyway, let's keep going.
We out on a date. You having a good time? We eating. Yo, send me your cash app me your half the bill.
What is with her in this obsession with food? Is that like the primary thing that guys are taking her? Is that all the dates that she's going on? It's just places to eat? Is that like the cost of being with her? couple meals, and she made it seem like these were. It doesn't sound like she's talking about like dinner dates. It sounds like all you got to do is take her to, I don't know, take out maybe. I don't know. She's look. I don't know, but this is getting well. I'll save it for the end.
How that sound?
That's not how it's going.
How's it going?
Yo, babe, I got
You got this one.
Babe, I got
You
this
got
one.
I had the last three. You got this
Listen,
one.
I don't even think a man should ask. I think a female should offer to say, "Hey, babe, I got you this time."
If you going, well,
No.
Right.
But I mean, whether I say yes or
You
no,
would take it or
you
not.
should have the intent on taking me
No
out
pump
after
fake on
I
me.
make you feel special.
If it's your birthday, if it's Valentine's.
no,
And let me
that's the
put
it's a flaw.
let me put two things into perspective. We're gonna talk about back in the day. A lot of times men paid for that because women wasn't able to work. They wasn't able to get their own money. So of course the guy had to court them and do everything financially because women didn't have the rights
They
they
could
have now.
have. It was a choice to be a housewife, though. A lot of
Women
women.
didn't have.
No.
Women wasn't able.
I don't know where this idea of these housewives came from, especially in the black community. No, if you're non-white, you were working. Ever since slavery, you were working. Low income families, the man and the woman both worked. There were jobs. Now, women didn't make nearly as much money, and the jobs that they had were not nearly as hard. There weren't women working. The majority of factory workers were not women. They did have jobs as being the traditional women jobs. You know, waiting tables, working in the hospital. You know, teaching school children, daycares, stuff like that. Secretaries, you know, was working in the secretarial pool. But no, women have always worked. I don't know where they get this from.
A lot of women didn't mind staying.
Back in the day, when they couldn't work. What you mean?
Because like I'm thinking about nurses. I'm
thinking.
I'm thinking if you guys talking about back in the day, you talking about like women who were like hairdressers and stuff like that. Everybody hates Chris. We had hairdressers. We had people that was teachers.
Okay, she's talking about a TV show that fictional characters is her reference. I get it because of their age. You know, back in the day, it's not that long ago. In comparison, because they didn't really pay attention. But again, if what you know about the past is based on a TV show, a fictional TV show at that, yeah.
It's a choice.
There were women, so how far back are we going?
Everybody hates Chris. That was the 70s. We talking about back when women couldn't work,
This
bro.
is 2020.
When the 40s?
No.
30s?
I'm saying you go back to the 90s.
But my question is,
90s women was
Women
how
were
do you
working in the
how do you
90s.
ask a girl for money from the date?
He just showed you. He slid the bill.
Opposed from that, because that's some crazy.
I
ass
feel
shit
like
you talk
women should, if a man is treating.
Look, I'm just gonna give y'all my opinion on this, guys. I wouldn't pay for more than 3 dates. If on the third date, I'm still paying, and I'm not gonna ask you out again. And that may be after the second date. If the second date is just okay, I'm probably not gonna ask a woman out again. Nah. You want to hang out again? Okay, well, let's do something. Well, you're going to have to take me out because otherwise I'm just going to move on to somebody else. We can still talk on the phone or do whatever, but I'm not going to devote that much time. What I'm going to do is shout out to CGA, Coach Greg Adams. He came up with a great concept. Or I don't know if he came up with it, but he was the first person I heard say this. I'm going to protect my meat, my money, energy, attention, and time. Because at that point, if by the second date, if I think this is just mediocre, yeah, no, I'm good. You know what? Yeah, hey, you know what? I'm just not gonna call. I'm just not gonna call anymore because I'm gonna move on to somebody else. It's not like I'm gonna ghost you, you know. But if you call me, I'll answer and we can talk. But the amount of the time and attention that I'm going to be giving you after that point is nah. Because you know, I can already tell if you're not that excited to go places with me, I don't want to take you anywhere else. Nah, it's a waste.
You and making you feel special, and y'all get to that level. Women should say whether sometimes I might say, "Oh, I got you, babe," or you should be like, "No, I got you."
I agree.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
If you broke, then just say that.
But for food though,
I don't think it's nothing wrong with a woman changing it up sometimes.
There's nothing wrong, but I mean, like, if we out to eat, we pay for my food.
But a lot of females is not paying.
I'm not paying for your food. It's to say after, like I said, after the second date, I'm not paying for anything else. Because it's time. Because at that point, it's time for you to show some interest. Because if you're not, I understand. That's why I said I'm not gonna call anymore after that. And if you want to if you're really interested, then you're gonna have to contact me. Because at that point, I've done all the reaching out. If you're not called, if you're no reach out for us to hang out, then I know what's up. I know that you just weren't that interested, and I'm cool with that, and we'll leave it there.
And for a guy that they don't fuck with like that.
And you ain't paying for nothing. I'm not going on the 4 dates.
And then you saying it's just food though, but where else?
Like I said, dates, going out on other dates. Like
so what do you give me a date you would pay for that?
Let's say if we went to somewhere like
McDonald's.
Like, I don't know, like the museum, something you got to book tickets
That's
for,
free.
shit like that. No, it's
Museum
not.
Not every
No,
museum.
it's not.
You
Because
go
I've
to
been to
museum,
museums.
all you have to do is
Museum of
pay
Illusions.
donations.
No, I'm not.
Museum-
No, it's
Museum
not.
of
I've been to
Illusions.
museums and you had to pay.
How much
Some
is it?
were like,
really
How much was it?
some was 60.
40 ticket,
What is
$40
it?
per ticket.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, like the virtual reality shits or fucking the car, like
It's
anything.
like 100
but
about,
eating
yeah.
food.
Or I feel like if I brought up the date, if I said let's go somewhere, I'll pay because I brought it
But
up.
how often
Agreed.
do women say let's go somewhere?
All the
Or
time.
they say, babe.
Yeah, they can sit there and say that, but they're not offering like that. And I would be interested to know, was that her boyfriend that offered, that she did that for? Or was it just some random guy that she had been hanging out with? What do y'all think happened on that? Because it doesn't sound like she would be as interested in paying for anything. She may be telling the truth about that. If she is, I question whether or not that was her boyfriend that she did it for, instead of just some guy that she's so-called dating. Not a fan of dating, by the way. Nah.
Take me here.
Okay.
I want to go here all the time.
But is that an offer? Is that offer? Is that an offer?
Yes. How do you know that?
Potato.
Okay, that's what you think.
Right, it's
Ask
women that
about
will
me.
pay.
You're in a relationship, right?
Yes, I am.
Call him up.
I can't
Why not?
because my boyfriend's on vacation right now.
Oh, conveniently.
I paid half on a date though. I
Yeah,
think
sure.
What year was this?
it doesn't matter about that, but I've paid. We was eating, and I was like, yeah, how much was mine? He said, you don't gotta pay, but if you want to,
Hard must have declined.
I remember you told me about that.
I don't think all women
I don't know how I feel
is
about that.
like selfish like that. You know what I'm saying? But we feel like women.
I'm glad somebody said it, and I can't take any more of this because this is just. See, there's a and I'll be honest. There's a movement of a group of guys out there. They tend to be higher income earners and say that I'm date women under 25. This is what you get when you do that. Are you okay with dealing with this stuff? Then have at it. Me, I need a little bit. I need them to grow up a little bit more before, because I can't deal with this. I'm not going to deal with this. And I'm just an average guy. So, younger women tend to carry their looks better, but to me, you're just not that fine for me to deal with that. I'm sorry. I need you to act like a grown up and not like a child. So, look, check out Daily Wrap Up Crew. It's a good example of that age group and dynamic. Like I said, we got to start breaking down because the gender war affects all ages. And yes, at every age, it's still dumb. So we got to know how to navigate through this stuff. There is a chance. I got to bring up marriage because that's what this channel's about. All of them are probably too young to be married. Now I'm just gonna keep it real. Out of all three of them, none of them are ready for that type of commitment. And as it's my age group, it's our fault because we dropped the ball in actually raising our kids. We need to do a better job. And again, that's why I say nuclear families are needed. You need both parents because, again, they didn't display that much knowledge of like the male experience, which makes me think that they probably grew up in a household with a single mom. Because the dad's not gonna tolerate that. You just out here just taking guys for their money and leading them on for nothing. no man wants his daughter doing that because he knows that on the back end of that is somebody who's gonna say, no, you owe me, and then we're gonna have a problem. As a father, I'm telling you, no, me and that man are gonna have a problem. And men tend to be peaceful and don't want those kind of issues coming up. We'll go there if we have to, because I would definitely do it for my daughters, but no, that's why I'm going to teach them that, no, you don't treat men like that. So, yeah. So, look, like I said, check out Daily Wrap Up Crew. Guys, remember, like and subscribe, and we're going to keep the conversation going. Hopefully, we're avoiding the gender war left and right at all ages. I'm going to say goes to the next time. Peace. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media. Today we are looking at a content creator he goes by the name of Basically Black Jesus. Now this brother is pro-marriage. That's one of the reasons why we're checking out his video. He's also covered a couple other topics, but today I think we're covering body count. And this is a reaction video that he's doing. I'm not gonna play the video that he's reacting to. Basically, it looks like he's reacting to a woman being interviewed, and she is saying that she likes to have multiple sex partners. We don't need to get into that or show who she is or whatever, because that's irrelevant. The point is that we want to have the conversation. Again, I think this brother, after watching some of his content, high-level conversations, I think that's what he is about. Because remember, the gender war is dumb. And we need these high-level conversations so we can start breaking this stuff down so we can actually move the conversation forward. So let's check him out, see what he's talking about.
So, hey, body count doesn't matter though, right? Right? She'd be a good candidate for the mother of your children, right? She'd be a great candidate for your wife, right? You should want to protect, provide provision for a lifetime, die for if necessary, a woman just like that, right? Who thinks like that, who speaks like that, who comes from that mindset, because that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about body count, we're talking about character, and we're talking about mindset, right? You should want to live for, work for, die for, kill for a woman who thinks just like that. That's what you deserve if you...
Now, obviously, he's being sarcastic, but I like the concept of what he's talking about. You should want to live and die for a woman who you're in a relationship with. If you starting, now obviously they're going to do that with every woman that you're dating, but that's part of the vetting process. If you don't feel like that's who you're with, it might be time to move on. Or it might be time to put some more, give it a little bit more time. It just depends on how long you've been with the person. You know, you've been somebody for 90 days. You've been dating somebody exclusively for 90 days. That's not enough time. No, but keep going. But again, the whole point is that if you feel like that, there may be a marriage in the future.
You believe body count doesn't matter. You deserve that. I'm a queen. I'm a goddess. I deserve it. The entitlement, the grandiose ego, all of it is there. And that's why when I'm on my channel, I talk about people who say, oh, I'm a queen, I'm a goddess, I'm a diva, I'm a boss chick, I'm this, I'm that. It's grandiose ego. It's like a form of psychopathy, right? It's a form of narcissism. To think that narcissist means that I have such a value for myself that it diminished the value of other people's feelings, emotions, experience, what they want, how I treat them. I care so much about me that I don't care about the other people that I should care about. That's the root of narcissism.
How much of that is going on today? Now, I'm going to go ahead and say we usually see that from the women, but I'm going to go ahead and hold some men accountable too, because you get a lot of guys out there that's calling themselves high value. And look, I told y'all already, like, I don't do the whole high value conversation, mainly because, again, I spent 5 years working in financial services, and I don't care how much money you make. It's about net worth for me. You making $100,000 a year, and you living paycheck to paycheck, and your net worth is negative. I don't care what you make on your job, how many high value friends you got. If your net worth is negative, that's not the move. You need to change some stuff.
queen, I'm a goddess, I'm a diva, I'm a boss chick. I'm great, I'm glorious, I deserve it. Entitlement. These things, the high body count chicks, okay, they have a form of entitlement, right? Why? Not just because they did the act, but because they don't believe that there should be any consequences for doing it. That they believe you should still pick them to be the mother of your children. You should go and work hard every day and trust that while she's at home, she's not screwing the mailman. But she deserves to have hands all over her body. She likes to be ran through. You should trust that woman to be monogamous. That you should trust that woman to be loyal. That she lives like that and thinks like that has nothing to do with the level of loyalty she's going to show you in a relationship. And guess what you're going to hear women say? You're going to hear them say, oh, well, I healed from it. If it was something that you should have done, why did you have to heal from it? You'll hear women say, oh, well, a woman's never going to tell you her real body count anyways. If there's nothing wrong with it, why do you feel the need to lie about it? Oh, because men are going to judge me. I thought you said it didn't matter to men. So why would they judge you for something that doesn't matter to them? When you press on the ideas and the common comebacks from the average woman about body count, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It doesn't pass the first level logic test for bullshit. All you have to do is just ask a single question about it and not just accept the words that are coming out of it. And it's bullshit. So when you hear this is what you need to understand, okay? This is why women can sell sex, because it has value to give access to your body. It has infinite value. There are women who are rich because of the way that they have managed access to their body and their beauty. Never went out and worked a day.
100%. I mean, that's a wise man once said that women are born with their value, men must create it. So this applies to, like I said, this channel is about average men. It applies to average men too. And average women, look, maintain your value, build your value. We need to hold both genders accountable for making sure that they do that.
A woman can walk out of her house and fly around the world without sitting on near a penile, okay? If she knows how to manage her beauty and she knows how to manage access to her body, she can get a man who's a millionaire to pick her up out of a Starbucks, right? Like Matt Damon did.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so what happens when you've got $1 million in the bank account? It doesn't say anything about you to look at how you spent that money. It says nothing about your character. If you blew it all in a titty bar, that doesn't say anything about a man's character. It doesn't say anything about a woman's character when she's blowing it so she can get free trips from guys that don't want them, that she doesn't want anything meaningful with. It doesn't say anything about a woman's character when she gives it away for money. It doesn't say anything about a woman's character when she gives it away for gifts or red bottoms or shoes or bags. It doesn't say anything about a woman's mindset or character or integrity or nothing. No matter how she spends the money in that account, there's no way for anybody to develop any type of meaningful judgment about her character based off of that. That is a woman's thinking. Women love their options. They just hate the outcomes, responsibilities, and consequences that come along with those choices. And that's why men say a lot of the ladies have no accountability. They don't want the outcome that is associated with the choices that they make. They don't want it. And you simps, give them an out. You agree with them. You hold men accountable. You hold men accountable. Men who do bad behavior, you want them to get the negative consequence. But women who do bad behavior, they're the victims. Oh, they're the victims. Their dad wasn't there because their mom was a floozy too. Because most of these women aren't from divorced households. Their fathers never married their mothers because their fathers were irresponsible men. Because the mother didn't believe in body count either. And now they're trying to convince you that you need to marry them. So who am I talking to right now? I'm talking to young men who want...
Oh man, this brother here, he's speaking the truth. Yeah, I don't have much to say. I mean, I'm gonna have a summary at the end, but I'll disagree.
Want traditional outcomes in dating, marriage, and relationships, but don't know how to get it. I'm talking to young women who want traditional outcomes in dating, marriage, and relationships, and don't know who they need to be to get that. Do not listen to these Jezebels. Don't listen to them. They're not trying to help you. They're not trying to help you. They are trying to validate their own lives. They are trying to excuse their own behavior. They are looking for a way to feel good about what it is that they've done that has made them feel so bad. And the only way they can do that is to see it reflected everywhere. You know what? Everybody's doing that. Everybody's doing it. So they're trying to convince you to do that with your bank account too. And they're also trying to tell you that no man has the right to look at you and evaluate your character, your integrity, your level of loyalty based off of how you spent your $1 million. And that is bullshit. That's bullshit. Because
especially when you consider the fact that that women will 100% evaluate you in your approach. If you don't look right in your approach, they will automatically assume the worst about you and just move on to the next guy. So what I would say is that number one, be careful who you hang around. This is advice for the guys. Be careful who you hang around, because if you're hanging around with men of low character, guess what they attract? Yeah. So a lot of you guys out there complaining that all these women are 304s and all this other stuff. Watch who you're hanging around. I mean, yeah, it might be time to get some. It might be time to get a new circle, as I like to call it. Go get you a new circle of friends. If you're not getting the outcomes that you want, or you're not meeting the right people, sometimes you got to look at what's around you. Sometimes you got to change your environment.
Because husbands care. And ladies, there is a big difference between the sexual attention you get from men and the genuine interest you get from a man who wants a wife.
100%. Again, high level conversation. Most people miss that. So look, because again, we're pro marriage on this side of the camera, right? So one of the things that you're going to have to do, if you're single now and you want to be married, then you need to meet some more married people. Especially women, 100%. You need to start hanging out with married people. Stop hanging out with all your single friends. Because at the end of the day, single people keep people single. It's not just, I know it's a famous thing to say that single women keep women single, but so do single guys. So if if you're dating a guy and he has all single friends, he doesn't know any married people, yet he's telling you that he wants to get married, well, who's his influence? I mean, it might be his parents, but at a certain age as an adult, I don't know too many adult men who spend that much time with their parents. I mean, if you guys are double dating, that's different. I would recommend at some point that you should be doing that because, you want to see what the future looks like, particularly if you're a guy and you want to know what your potential wife is going to look like in the future. You go look at her mom. So let's keep going.
And your character needs to be set up around what type of wife you want to be, if you want to be married. In the same way that a good man who has character needs to set himself up around what a good wife needs and what he needs to provide for her and be in her life, right? He needs to be a good communicator. He needs to be a good provider, right? But pretending like we don't look at your past choices, how you spent the money out of your account to see if you have any value to us as wives is fucking insane. And we really need to stop lying y'all need to stop lying to each other. You want to have a high body count, that's your choice. It's your body. That's your choice. Nobody should police you or stop that. But people should stop not telling you reality. Not telling you the way that men think and the way that the world works, right? Just so that they can feel good about how they've made their choices, right? So that's my advice.
Okay, yeah. basically Black Jesus, everybody. Go check out this brother's channel. This dude has high level conversations. That's what we're looking for. So to summarize this whole body count thing, I think it speaks more towards, again, he mentioned the character, but it also shoots more towards behavior. So a lot of guys don't like to talk about that but if, past behavior is a predictor of future performance. This is why women, after a certain time, get turned off by guys who have been with a lot of women. Is it a disqualifier for them? Not all the time, but they still get turned off by it. Why? Because it's a predictor of future performance. Most women do not want to be with the guy who sleeps around. If you've been doing that in your personal life when you're single, high probability that you're going to continue to sleep around. So there's no guarantee, like I said, that it's, your past determines your future. Women is not as important for them, but men 100% it is. But again, there's a lifestyle adjustment that has to happen there, because you're going to go from having access to all these other people sexually just down to one. Usually that doesn't happen successfully without some kind of traumatic life event. And even then, if that happens, all of a sudden you still got to deal with the pain of that too. And then there's always the risk that comes with it. Once you get healed, you're going to be just like you were before the traumatic event happened. You're eventually going to pick up those habits again. So, if, like I said, if you want to get married, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on both sides for men and women. The problem is that what you got to keep an eye on is the fact that men and women are different, and we struggle with different things. So that's even it. That's just as a group, and we're not talking about the individual. But look, guys, we're going to end it here. Like I said, basically Black Jesus. Go check out his YouTube channel. He hasn't been on YouTube for that long. I'm pretty sure he's on other social media platforms, but he recently started YouTube, so we're trying to support him and help him build this channel on YouTube, guys. Hey, but I'm gonna say goes to the next time. Peace. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media, and today we got the young guys again with Daily Wrap Up Crew, right? Now, this is just a clip for their show. So the questions up there says, why do you think relationships today are struggling? All right. Now we got 3 women on the panel. I can't remember if I've seen this or not, but we're gonna find out. Guys, remember, like and subscribe. Look, I checked the analytics. Like 90% of you people watching these videos, right? Y'all ain't subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. But let's go ahead and check this out and see what they got going on.
People are just not willing to put in the work that it takes to make a relationship successful.
People don't see the work, and because you don't see the work, like you get on social media, you see these picture-ass perfect relationships, and you that's a picture.
Oh,
that's a picture. Right. Like I can think of all the cute-ass pictures I have in my phone that I've posted of me and my dude, and all of the work that has still working to get there. So it's like you don't get to see the work. It's like you just see the and it's like, oh yeah, I want that. And it's like,
yeah, people want instant gratification.
Who do you think is more gullible? Who's more?
So in other words, we're looking at people's highlight reels of their life. It's only the good parts, none of the work that's involved. Well, a lot of times that's not new with social media though. People have been doing that, because you think about when you see somebody who's when we look at celebrities, a lot of the times in the past we just say, oh, okay, well. Or a rich person, well, they got lucky. No, what you didn't see was, the past 10 or 15 years when they were trying to grind it out and doing all this hard work and and sleeping 4 hours a night and everything else. All we saw was them on the stage saying, accepting an award and saying, man, how could I be like that? I want to be them. Same deal.
I don't point no elbows.
Who do you think is more gullible to seeing, relationship statuses online and thinking that their relationship needs to be like that?
Definitely
men or women?
Women. We are.
But
you said both.
No, men are not. Y'all are not phased by that.
No, because it's not necessarily a fault. All it is a byproduct of women being more social. That's the only thing that is that, you know, women are of the two sexes, the women are the more social of the group. It's one of their superpowers, right? Because men in general don't really do social media like that. The exception is probably YouTube, because YouTube is a male-dominated platform. But all the other platforms, they're dominated by women. Why? Because women are more socially calibrated.
Social media plays a part. So who is looking at social media and looking and using that as a basis for their relationship, men or women?
Oh, women.
Shout out to y'all for holding them accountable.
It's accountability.
So the reason that relationships is struggling is women, is what you're saying.
I think
No, it's Willie Lynch.
No, I'm not gonna. We're not about to do that.
Well,
We're not about to do
social media is the reason relationships is struggling.
I think that
the
social
women
media-
is
Women are on social
is on social media and relationships are struggling. So who's the reason?
That's not the only
Yeah, that's actually the first time I've actually heard that perspective. You know, because once you start diving into relationships on like YouTube, like I said, everybody's got these YouTube talking points that they all want to talk about. That's the first time I've heard that perspective. Social media is killing relationships. I can agree with that somewhat, but again, people have been struggling with relationships, particularly in my community, in the Black community, since before social media. So I don't think that's it. I think what happens there is that social media brings to light a lot of the things that people are struggling with. And in that sense, you feel like you kind of get like a false sense of community, because you figure out other people are struggling with the same thing, and then all of a sudden that's how you develop into an echo chamber. But again, on this channel, we're trying to avoid that. That's why, like I say, the gender war is dumb, but we still review every now and then. We have to go back and look at the gender war and then see what people are talking about, because to some people, you know, this is life. So let's keep going.
Social media is a small part. It's really like
It ain't a
how
small
guys,
one.
how
It
guys
ain't.
say, "Oh, modern women this, modern women that." First of all, we're in the same generation, so y'all modern too. You know what I'm saying?
But we still gotta be traditional.
But men be having traditional, like
We
men
have to
still
be
having
traditional.
traditional values.
But they may have the values, but it's the product. Like, what are you producing? Like, let's say a guy has dreams, but he literally only has $1. It's like, how
That's the
can
niggas
I,
y'all
how
giving
can
chances
I-
to.
How can I submit to you? You know what I'm saying?
Is
Or
it wrong?
how-
Is that wrong of us to give a chance to somebody who doesn't?
I mean, yes. I mean,
There's nothing wrong with that. The part that's wrong is when you start complaining about it, and when you assign that man's attributes to the rest of the male population. Then it's wrong.
yes and no, because
Yeah.
those men, what happens is women choose poorly, and then when they get older, they expect the Russell Wilsons to come along and, you know, take care of their bad decision making. Like, you know what I mean? That's unfair for us.
And more pressure on that guy.
But do you believe that you deserve a woman before you can play the role of a provider? Let's say you can only be a protector at this time because you're not financially stable. Do you feel like you deserve a woman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I deserve a woman, but I don't not deserve it. And a woman can inspire a man to be great. Like, women, that's their power.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's their power. They inspire us to want to be great and more productive.
I don't think it's
100%.
fair to say, do you think you deserve a woman when, like, women do be doing some shiesty shit. Like, oh, I'm only dating a single for food. Like, I'm only
Right.
dating a single
Oh,
for
Lord.
this or do that. Like, that's corny too. So it's like, if she gets to have a man, then he gets with his dollar. he
Word.
gets
Then
to
y'all
have a
get
woman.
mad when I just.
The fact that it was her that pointed it out, high level conversation. High level conversation. I would expect the guys, to say something about that. But she brought it up, and there was no prompt for her to do so. Again, much respect on that.
Just want some pussy.
And why? Why
No,
does?
I'm saying if they're in that, or if they're not. Let's say you're a woman, right? And technically, you don't have to be financially stable to have a man.
Correct.
You just have to be nurturing and loving and organized and smart.
No
and blah, blah,
nigga
blah.
wants broke girls. Where does
That's
this
true.
keep coming
That's true.
from?
But according to Kevin Samuels and the whole manosphere,
He's dead.
You don't
What?
have to have money to attract a man.
Right. He's dead.
You just have
Men
to
are
attract
more
a
open.
man.
Yeah.
He said you don't have to have money to attract a high value man, because a high value man already got that. He don't need money. But if you're talking about a regular day man,
So you do have to have money. Oh, as a woman, you do have to have
I'm not
money
saying
to
you
attract a
No, I'm not saying you have to have. Y'all not saying you have to have that.
Y'all not about to do this because if you was a high value man, let's get with it. Black men, if that means that you make over 6 figures, black men are probably maybe 3% of that.
Right.
So that means all of these men is not gonna make 6 figures,
exactly.
So we gotta be realistic. So it's
Right.
like if you want somebody that makes 6 figures, 1, you need to be in a different room. 2, it's like you're not gonna attract that by going to the bar all the time. So y'all need to humble us.
Yeah, high level conversation. I mean, wow, this was surprising. Usually the women on Daily Wrap Up Crew, yeah, okay, but these ladies, that was pretty intelligent. So again, what are my thoughts on this? I was actually impressed. There was some accountability in here for both men and women. The women that came in the end, and she's telling the women, sometimes she's calling out the women who like to use men. Basically, they got you saved in their phone as under food. Yeah. But we also heard some accountability for the men too. Do you think you deserve a woman? A lot of guys will answer that as yes, when the actuality is you don't deserve anything. But now obviously there's some nuances in there, and we're not going to get into them on this video just because this was such a short clip. Again, guys, go check out Daily Wrap Up Crew because this was a great episode. I might have to go back and watch the full episode of this because this is just a clip. But yeah, high level conversation. She did mention something that I do need to address though. Is that there's a notion out there that that you have to be a protector and a provider in order to be a good man. She was the lady in the middle was kind of hitting at it, and I have to disagree with that because again, 5 years of financial services taught me that men don't hit their financial stride until after 40. Okay, so what are you just supposed to go your whole life being a single man? No relationships until you hit that 40 mark and then wait. And then when you start bringing in the money, all of a sudden you're supposed to know how to be in a relationship, how to maintain one, but you've never used those relationship muscles before. So you're going to suck at it. No, that doesn't, your woman's going to leave you at that case because you don't know how to talk to women. You don't know how to treat them. So I think the difference in there is I think what we're looking for is the middle ground, which is basically you need to learn how to protect your woman. I would say that's the minimum that most women, that's where it starts at. If he can protect me, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be from physical things either. It's just can he protect me? Can I learn something from him? You can protect a woman with your mind by teaching her things. You teach her about money. Because again, we know the stats on that, right? The majority of the debt in this country is held by women. That might be something that she's looking to do as far as leveling herself up with her personal finances. You can teach her. There's tons of things out there you can teach women. I'm not going to get specific about things that you need to do because each woman is going to be different for what she is looking to learn from a man or a potential mate. Well, my point is that don't let that discourage you, okay? Because again, relationships take work, and you have to get used to doing the work in them. Because if not, then your relationship muscles, like I said, they're gonna atrophy, and then at the end of the day, you're not gonna be good for anybody. So now, does that mean that? Well, let's just leave it there. That we had enough said on that topic, and I'm gonna say goes to the next time. Peace. Welcome back, guys. Mike here. Today we're back what we need to talk, but more importantly, I'm going to use this as an introduction to I am Courtney Michelle. I've been meaning to go back and do a reaction to her content. I keep having, she does a lot of long form content, and finding the right stuff to view is a bit of a challenge. But we have a one-on-one with her and the host of We Need to Talk, Alan. So this is as good a place as any. Let's go ahead and get started. And I think we're talking about I don't know. I haven't seen this since it first debuted. So it doesn't say marriage is overrated. Well, that's not what we're going to initially talk about. I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about the wall. You guys know what the wall is, so I shouldn't have to explain that. Let's just go ahead and have the whole high level conversations, right? Let's peel back some layers.
Is the wall true? Okay, so let's define the wall first. Okay, so the wall meaning when you get to a particular age, the sexual market value goes down. So the opportunities that you could have had with a particular man is not there anymore because of your age, because of your fertility, yeah.
Baggage.
Yes. It's true. So I think there is a wall.
There 100% is a wall. But again, you made your YouTube talking points. That's why we're here today, right? The thing that doesn't get talked about is that the wall is going to be different from person to person. Because again, for women, it's a lot of times it's an age barrier, meaning that your looks start to break down. But again, you can turn back the clock on that. So the wall isn't always in the same place for everybody. The other thing there is that the wall is going to be different depending on the man that you're with. Average men, like myself, like I said before, it's 6, right? Let me get on camera here. 6. Fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive, childless. Most guys will take probably about 4 out of 6. So this whole, the concept of the wall, that doesn't really apply to average men because, again, we're not high value. Okay, so we don't bring everything to the table. So as such, we shouldn't be looking for women who are bringing everything. If you're an average guy and you out here talking about you want all 6 of them things, you're a piece of shit. Seriously. Dude, get over yourself. I'm so sick of that, man. These fake high value dudes. And I'm like, bruh, you working at the job with me, man. Come on. Be for real. All right, but let's keep going.
There's outliers, of course, but there is a wall. But when we have the conversations of the wall, it's as if walls can't be broken down. So the essence of the wall is, oh, you've hit it. And like you can't go through it. That I don't believe.
She's actually right. Like I said, all that means is now if you're looking for a high value man, yeah, you're not getting through that wall because he'll just go find another girl. But for more average men, the wall is it's not set in stone. Yeah, there are other ways, because again, we need each other. So there are going to be some compromises there. Depends on the guy what those compromises can be. For that guy, the proverbial wall may be where you have a kid or kids. So no, we're not, I'm done. That could be the case. I mean, before I got married, I didn't deal with women who had children. And yes, there were offers there, but no, I'm not looking for that. So it's immediate no for me. But another guy may be able to do that. Your value may not drop as fast with him. He may be okay with being a stepfather. Because like I said, I've always said this, having kids outside of wedlock is not a death sentence. Now, what it does mean is that you need to be like the other categories that you have left. You need to be excelling at them because a man taking care of another man's kids or child, that's a big ask. I mean, he's literally devoting his resources to something that is not his legacy. Or as a wise person once said, he's picking up somebody else's save game. We don't like to do that for the most part. But it's not impossible, though. It can be overcome. It's just that you need to recognize where you are currently and then what your strengths are and play to those. And find that guy who's looking for those strengths.
Now, the way that you go through the wall might be a little different than how you could jump over it at 20. You got to chip out some stuff, but you can go through it. And I think that there's men that's willing to help you chip through that wall as well, too. So I don't think, and I hate
all 2 or 3 of you ladies out here, Here's a real question for you, and sound off in the comments if you what you think about this. Do men have a wall? And if so, what age would you say it's at? All right.
The whole buy a dog, die alone thing. I get those in my comments a lot. I don't think that's true. I don't think anyone has to die alone, regardless of the age, regardless if they have a child. It's just willing to understand that you might have done some things and you have baggage that you got to unpack, and you have to do that work for yourself. And there's gonna be someone, and maybe that's my being a hopeless romantic, which I can take, but.
Okay, maybe I just went on that whole diatribe about that. Maybe this is where I picked that up from. You know, it's been, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen this, but I mean, the concept actually works. But again, you know, you got to be willing to take a chance and feel people out. So
I just always feel like there is someone that's willing to not put up with your shit, but willing to be with you. It might not be in the package that you want, but it's gonna be in the package.
100%. A lot of times, you know, this has come up before where the guy you need versus the guy you want, those two are not mutually exclusive. A lot of times, particularly like we're losing. How do you say this? We are wasting time trying to find the perfect mate. It doesn't exist. Okay, so what you need to do is find somebody who you agree with. You guys have the same basic principles and start building. Because again, why are we doing this? Well, legacy is important. But the more time you waste on trying to find Mr. Perfect or Mrs. Perfect, that you can't get that time back. And then again, what is the state that we're leaving our kids in? Because that's why I said, you know, we need each other and we have to come together. The sooner the better, realistically. As long as, again, you're living in reality and you can plan for the future, the sooner the better.
Package that you need.
And that's my only pushback, right? Mm-hmm. So whenever the wall argument is used, whenever I've seen it used, mm-hmm. it's never you're 35, you're not gonna find anybody. Mm-hmm. It's you're 35, you're not gonna find that guy, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Because what happens, or what tends to happen in our community, going back to earlier when you said you can't tell women anything, mm-hmm. is you can definitely not tell them to compromise their standards.
Right.
And they still feel deserving of what they would have qualified for at an earlier age with less baggage. Mm-hmm. So the wall really is just an accountability measure to say, either be willing to enthusiastically, mm-hmm.
like you said,
chip away at those standards that you had, or you will have to die alone if you're unwilling to settle for mm-hmm. The type of man that you actually qualify for.
High level conversation. You know I love it. That's basically boils down. That's another way of putting the things that I just said. He cleaned it up rather succinctly too. It was a lot shorter than the whole spiel that I just went on. But at the end of the day, that's what it's about. You got to be willing to compromise on things because again, the goal here is we're building a community here, and it's not going to be perfect. I think this is one of the reasons why the marriage rate in our community is so low is because we keep looking for perfection, and it doesn't exist. Our grandparents, our great grandparents, they weren't looking for perfection. That's why that's a big problem right now. It's like, I'm not going to settle, but you expect women tend to say that, but you expect a man to settle though, right? Okay, well, how about both of you guys work it out so that you can start building? Because again, it's not meant to be perfect. That's why relationships will work. Is you have to put in work to make it last. You get out of that Disney fairy tale that you just get married and everything works out perfectly. It's not like that, But let's keep going.
So is that reasonable?
So, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and I don't think I guess there are men that are saying the wall is not saying that you can't get anyone. It's you're at a particular age and what you maybe could have had, you can't. And women do need to understand that. And I think that's logically speaking, yes. I've seen some men that don't believe that. I've seen some men, and again, I have been told that because you are hit the wall over the wall, that you're going to die alone. Like, no man wants you. So, maybe the majority of men say that, but I have been literally told that no one wants you because you're 39 and you have a daughter.
She's 39. Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah, she's very attractive for her age. That's probably a horrible way to say that, but yeah, I wouldn't have took her for 39.
Like, what man would want that? So it's interesting in this manosphere that I'm not a part of. I say I'm adjacent. Yeah, I'm right here. And listening to a lot of it really fractured my ego and confidence. Because it's really, really hard trying to learn and then be open and honest. And then it's like, oh, you're the typical Black woman that we say that men should not want. And I hear it on a daily basis. So it's hard. So I don't know, the wall I definitely get. This is not what I get in my DM sometimes. They be harsh. I was like, do you know me? But it is what it is, I guess.
So, yet the downside of being in a public space, YouTube has a lot of similarities to celebrity or being famous. And yeah, you open yourself up to that. And it's an interesting conversation that I know they're not talking about it, but I think we need to have this conversation because it applies to women who are in this space and who are like, don't get me wrong, we need more women like Courtney Michelle. I think ultimately because she has gone on to say, like, if you watch her channel, she does want to get married. But I think that she falls into that category, the same category as a lot of women YouTubers. The more popular you get, relationship wise, the more doors are going to close. Because ultimately, men prefer women who are not popular. It sucks to say that because again, she does want to get married, but she has if you watch her channel, you can tell she is very driven about her content. And I think that she ultimately will be successful. The problem, but at some point, I'm sure she's thought about this, but you got to start weighing the cost of being the forefront of that movement. Because again, the further you go with your content, the more you're put out there, the more doors are closing. So, and even then, if you're that passionate about the purpose of your channel, would you give that up for a marriage? I don't know. It's not my decision. It's not my point to say that. But women who are making relationship channels, especially if you're trying to rebuild our community, that's a tough decision. I'm glad I'm not envious that she's gonna have to make that at some point because it just is what it is. I mean, yeah, the more popular you get, yeah. But let's keep going.
I guess my message to women would be, and I think this is what the well-meaning people are saying, be more realistic. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, Mrs. Average at Best. Mm-hmm. she felt deserving of a certain caliber of man because she had achieved certain things. She was running a 6-figure business. That's not actually what stood out to me, right? What stood out to me, she said that I'm finding I can't respect men who make less than me.
Bingo.
So the men that she's dating, the men that she's attracting are men who do not make 6 figures. They might still be hardworking, men of integrity, you know, teachers, coaches, you know, actual men who are the foundation of this country. But I'm finding I cannot respect, submit to, join in partnership with this man or this type of man. And the only man I'm deserving of is this man that I really know nothing about, but just because he makes more money than me.
Yeah.
So I tell women 2 things. You're not evaluated on the same curriculum as men.
Right.
So making 6 figures would make you a better man. Doesn't necessarily make you a better woman. Owning a business makes you a better man. Doesn't necessarily make you a better woman. It's like if I had hips, it doesn't make me a better man. You see what I'm saying? Because that's not what women value.
High level conversation. You know, there is a concept here that eventually we're gonna have to break down because right now the narrative is that, well, you know, what makes a man high value? Despite personal opinion, I think what makes a man high value, I think women pick. And I know it popularly the YouTube talking point tells you, well, the market decides that. Okay, but who's the market for men? It's women ultimately. So women pick what makes a man high value. Just like, you know, you take a high value man today. Okay, well, boom, now we're in the apocalypse. All that money ain't worth nothing. No, the high value men then become the guys who can really protect them and who can provide food. Because at that point, money's meaningless. So, you know, that's a paradigm shift. Same thing with a high value woman. I don't know why women always like to define themselves. They think they can define themselves as high value, but no, high value women are based off what men value in women. The opposite gender defines what is high value. It's just how it works. But yeah, let's keep going.
So similarly, the whole idea of dying alone, I think is a counterproductive way of putting it, but I understand what they're trying to say because unfortunately our women are unwilling to compromise and they're unwilling to look past the fact, going to average the best girl, that this man doesn't make 6 figures because most people do not. And I need to respect him for his leadership skills, for his integrity, for his ability to be a good father, for his ability to provide and protect and everything else outside of the amount of zeros there in his bank account. But women aren't willing to admit that. So if you're not willing to admit that, then you will inevitably end up by yourself.
100%. Guys, we're going to stop it here because I want you to go check out this video. We Need to Talk, and it's the I Am Courtney Michelle interview. Final thoughts on this one. You know, we covered some major talking points today. We covered the wall, and I'm not going to rehash that because I talked about that enough for right now. The thing that I want to summarize on is women, they don't want to lower their standards. That's fine if that's who you are. Just understand what comes with that. And that, unfortunately, I don't think most women, particularly black women, because we have the lowest marriage rates, and 100% that's what's going on in our community. Women have these high standards, and they're not going to settle. I don't think most women actually think that through. I know they don't, because from a financial standpoint, that doesn't make sense. I mean, you need 2 incomes just to make it to retirement. It's just the way it is. And then now, because we know, specifically on this channel, we've looked this up multiple times. In the state I live in, right? The average man makes $37,000 a year. The average woman makes $25,000. So how are you going to make it to the end of life making $25,000 a year? That's not going to happen. I think what we're going to see is a major surgence of. So I'm 41. By the time, I think when Generation X gets heavy and it gets late into retirement, you're going to see a resurgence of people trying to get married. or people just living together, because you can't afford to live on your own anymore. Like even women who make over $50,000 a year, at that point, if you don't have enough saved up, it's a wrap. That job that you love, that career that you spent so many years building, that's not going to matter at that point. Because they ain't going to keep you on there after you hit retirement age. No, they're going to let you go and then pass your position on to somebody younger who they can pay less money to. I just think that marriage rates are right now, they're low. They're probably going to get lower because, like I said, as Generation X ages out, you know. But I think you're going to see, I think that's probably going to be short-lived, because you're going to see a resurgence of people realizing that, oh my God, I need to find somebody. Because we going to have to work together in order to make it. Sad state of affairs, but that's what we're at right now. But hey, if we end up rebuilding our community because of that, I'm all for it. You know, it would take us another 2 generations just to catch up, because we waited so late in order to start getting together. But at the end of the day, the goal is still there. So we're going to leave it here. Go check out those channels. I am Courtney Michelle, and we need to talk. I'm going to say it goes to the next time. Peace. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media, and you guys know what we do. So today we're looking at the channel's called Anton Daniels. Now, I like Anton because, number one, he's pro-marriage. Not only that, but he's been married for, I think, almost 20 years. So like I always say, it's good to see we need more married people on YouTube, especially if we're trying to improve the marriage rates with the purpose of rebuilding our community through nuclear families. So with that said, we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. I should note that it looks like the format of his channel may have changed, because this looked like it's like a podcast setup with an actual in-person guest. His channel wasn't like that before, so first time I'm seeing this. So if it's your first time, hey, we're looking at it together. But let's go ahead and get it going.
How important is it to be in a relationship? Like, do you think it's necessary? Like, is companionship as important to you as maybe it was in yesteryear or people before? Because I know that a lot of people emphasize the importance of being married or what age you get married, and I don't.
Okay, spoiler here. I already see where this is going. The younger women are going to say it's not important, and there was an older. Let's see if we can point her out.
Men and women. But in a general sense, and y'all can just speak whenever y'all want to speak, because we just kicking it, we just having a conversation. How important is it to y'all to be in a relationship?
It's not.
There we go.
Period.
Why is it?
Younger women who are in their prime very rarely see the need for a relationship. Why? Because they have plenty of offers for something. So younger women tend not to value that stuff. She's probably gonna say something about building her career or something like that. It's YouTube talking points.
It's not important.
Why is it important?
I don't know. You tell me. Do you think that you need a man for anything?
No.
For nothing?
No. Don't nobody take care of me now. I take care of myself. So, no, there's nothing a man can do for me that I can't do for myself. So, no, it's not important.
Do you think that life would be easier if you had a man in your life that was filling a certain need? Okay, so let me revise it. This is gonna be good. What do you need a man for?
Take the groceries in the house. Take the trash out.
We're gonna do that.
Put some gas in my
20
car.
bags in one hand.
You know, like that's about it though.
I don't know.
That's all.
We probably
Like,
need
I
a
can
van
do
for a
that,
little
so-
bit more than just that.
That's what she thinks of men. Again, I always say this. If that's what you think of men, then what's the relationship with your father like? Because again, oftentimes parental relationships are our source relationships. So if you think that little of men, what's the relationship like with her father?
That and
Like
it's
what?
the companionship. It's someone to make you feel good. It's someone that will continue to like motivate you, root you on. And I mean, sex is a nice part of life.
I don't know. They're giving y'all a lot of different toys now. They're giving y'all a lot of options at this point.
I'm not a toy person. I'm not a toy person. I want the real thing, you know, all the time.
Is it that big of a difference?
Yeah, definitely a difference.
This lady in the white, she looked like she's probably older than the other two sitting on the couch with Anton. I suspect that her answers are going to be different. The other woman that's sitting by herself, we just heard from her. She looks like she might be in between the young ladies and this lady in white in age. So I would expect her answers to be a little bit more middle of the table. Then again, I could be completely wrong and they're just capping for the camera. I don't know.
It is. But is it just like, because it's more of a, I think that in a lot of instances, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, in a lot of instances, the emotional connection is just as important as the actual physical. When you got the emotional, it enhances it a little bit more.
For sure.
So to jump back on your original question, I think the older I get, the more important it is to be in a relationship.
Really?
Because nobody wants to grow old or be the old, can't teach the old dog new tricks and be at home by yourself, come through the door, nobody there to greet you. So my younger years, I really didn't care too much. Like, I can honestly count on my hand. I'm 42.
Mm-hmm.
I've probably been in 3 serious relationships in my life.
Really?
But the older I get is what I look forward to.
I'm exact opposite.
What do you mean?
I feel like at this age and stage, it's not that important.
Okay, I stand corrected. You can lump her in with the young ones too. At some point, I think what we're starting to see here is that the older you get, the more important a sense of community comes into play. Probably because you're thinking more about kids. Because again, if community becomes important when you have kids, because you realize that, whoa, wait, my kids have to grow up in this community. Well, what are we doing out here? Why is this community trash? I don't want my kids growing up. We got to do something to fix it. So we got to, again, that's why I go so hard about, the fact that we need each other. I got kids, and I want my kids to be able to have somebody. Something to think about. But clearly, that's not on the younger ladies. That's not on their radar right now. They're focused on being, their main focus is themselves. Nothing wrong with that, but you have to realize that has consequences. As long as you're willing to accept them, I'll say, hey, more power to you.
Because it feels like I've been there, done that. And if it happens, it happens. Once you experience something and you kind of see what it is.
Heard this one before too. If it happens, it happens. Unfortunately, this is a lot of women think like that. And I'm starting to think that maybe that's because they're not the pursuers. They're not the aggressors. The status quo is that men are going to approach them. So, I mean, I get it. It's like I said, it's probably not a negative. It's probably not a positive or a negative. It's just what is.
You don't always want to take your past experiences into everything, but I've been there, done that, and I'm good. And
you've been there, done that.
I feel like I do what I want to do now, and it's good.
So I'm the opposite too. But then you say you 42, I'm 22. When I come home, I'm not worried about a man being in my house.
Please get out.
I'm not worried about that. Like,
you might not be worried about it,
I dated somebody when I was 18, freshman year of college. It was a mistake. We don't got to talk about it. But like, I'll go through these little phases. Like, 1 week before my period, I'll be like, damn, I feel like I should have somebody here. And then once those 3 days get over, I'll be like, I'm cool.
Right.
I wonder if she's talking about ovulation. Nature's way of telling you that this is the optimal time for you to get pregnant. Yeah. Part of life. Let's go.
Chilling. It is what it is. But I think it's like, because part of it might be because I never, like, my first relationship was real bad. So I was like, I don't need it. I'm cool. And then I have so much to worry about right now. Like, for me personally, I'm getting my master's degree. I have track to worry about. I have a job. Like, I don't have no kids. I don't have to worry about that. I can focus on me right now.
Yeah.
And it's cool. But like,
I think it's all about timing, so that's
yeah,
real.
Yeah, it's like as I get older.
As in, she doesn't have any time. I mean, that's a jam-packed schedule. So that explains it, and also explains why when she gets home, yeah, she trying to go to sleep. She ain't gonna be, because you got all that going on. But you know, here's the caveat, because I'm 41, she's 22. I can tell you that the older you get, the busier life gets. So this notion that, well, I'm too busy now. Okay, well, if you're too busy now, chances are you're not gonna have any free time. Because again, life gets busier as you get older. Time starts to pick up its pace because you have a lot more things going on. You have a lot more responsibilities. So she's got a lot of responsibilities now. If her schedule doesn't lighten up, eventually, I mean, well, let's go. I'm not going to take it there.
Like, I might be like, all right, because I do want to have a family. I want to like get into that. Like, I've always wanted to have somebody that's like my.
Look at Uncle Anton's face. This woman here wants it all. That's not possible. It's scheduled, because literally, we already heard her schedule. Okay, well, when are you going to have time for said family? Raising kids takes effort. You're not just going, I mean, because, well, unless you're okay with just taking your kids and having them raised by strangers, I don't recommend that, by the way. But how are you? Well, I mean, I guess you could date a guy who is okay with being a. Let's go ahead and move on, because I don't want to get off topic here.
My own, have a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
When I get to that age, I'm gonna say it's important. But right now, I'm not worried about it.
I think it's funny though that it's always like, oh, I don't need a man. I don't need. It's like, but wouldn't it be better? Like, couldn't that like add to your quality of life though?
I feel
like just being real. Like,
no,
we get it. Everybody could live on their own because at some point, at some moment in time, everyone has had to do that to a certain extent.
Right.
I feel like maybe. Right?
I mean, even if you're in a relationship,
So-
sometimes when you grow old with people, or even if you don't grow up, they might die. Then you gotta live on your own again. So
Yeah. So I think people, but it's like I think
She seems to be operating out of fear. It's something that, let's just keep that in mind. I think, and going forward with these videos, that's something that we need to start taking note of, because I'm noticing a pattern here of a lot of these women who claim to be, who prefer to be by themselves. I'm strong, I'm independent. The only thing I need a man for is to carry some groceries in the house. Is it fear that's causing them to think like that? Something I think that deserves a little bit more research. And we're going to keep that in mind when we start analyzing these videos and breaking this stuff down. Because let's go.
I think now the conversation is always like, oh, well, I could do this by myself. It's like,
I've never lived with a guy, so I never lived with nobody but my mom and dad. So I can't.
I think it's a bias for
I
me.
just don't. The older I get, at first I used to think it was real important.
Something happened to her. Because you don't go from watching your mom and dad work in cooperation to the only thing a man is good for is carrying groceries in the house. Something's going on there.
Like to be in a relationship and stuff, but the older I get, it's just like, girl, what do you
so
want
I
that
got a
for?
few different views on it. I'm with him. The older I get, the more I think it's important. At 18, I had my first child. I moved out with the man. I played the housewife role without that real title up until I was in my 30s. And then my life spun out of control because I wasn't allowed to work. I was with the older dude. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I was financially taken care of, but couldn't go to college. Now I have a 24-year-old daughter who has graduated college, out here living, and my thing to her is, you only can be young once. So you should experience your young life, have fun, and then mature into a relationship. Whereas
Well, let her
I
finish.
had to go through all my downfalls in my 30s. Now I work in the healthcare, and I see how important a relationship.
the pendulum swung too far back in the other direction. So you have this woman, she has gone from one extreme to the other inside of a generation, right? She goes from being, she was with a man who was above average earner because he's paying for everything. She's not working. The no going to college thing is kind of strange. That seems kind of controlling. Unless, well, I guess if she got pregnant, so maybe she didn't have, maybe their thought was she just doesn't have time to go to school. Seems kind of weird, but I don't know. She didn't really give us a lot there. But like I said, the pendulum is going in the other direction because, again, when she said, well, it lasted until my 30s, so now you out in the world again and you're panicking. There's that fear again, right? Well, I'm not raising my daughter. My daughter needs to go to school and do this and da-da-da. And you're only young once is really bad advice. Because, again, what are we looking for? I think one of the biggest problems in our community is that our maturity levels are entirely too low. And this attitude to where you can just live your life and then, you know, once you get over to the other side of the rainbow, everything's going to be perfect. That's just not, that's a Disney fairy tale. And I hate that term because it's getting cliche at this point, but if it doesn't, man, damn if it don't fit though, right? But yeah, you need to take life. My advice to any young person is you need to take life serious. There's no time to be just living your life and having fun. No, having fun is one thing, but you need to be handling your responsibilities.
Is so much more than just sex and a man financially taking care of you. That is like a true commitment. At this point, I'm looking for someone to be bored with. Who can I enjoy doing absolutely nothing with?
Yeah.
Because it gets to a point that may be exactly what you're doing, nothing.
That sounds great in your 40s. But I guarantee you, I wish they had the camera on the young girl's face when she said that, because I'm imagining them just turning their nose up at that. Nothing. I want to be lit. I want to go out and have fun. Yeah, no, just okay.
I see people who don't have anyone coming and visiting them, and then I see people who come every single day to visit their loved one, and their loved one can't even communicate back with them. If you wait and you don't have anyone and then you get to that position, that's really where you're going to be, with nobody.
Right, for sure. I think it comes in waves. And even though I say, been there, done that, I will never say I don't need a man, because that's just not where I am.
Okay, so that's the end of that. This is an interesting concepts. I think what we're gonna, it's an interesting concepts, but they're repeatable results. What I didn't hear a lot, they're genuine conversations, but you see, I think the type of people on the show are well represented on other platforms. So you get a lot of the same answers. I'll be interested to see the direction that Anton takes this in, because again, he's highly intelligent. So it'll be interesting to see if he actually starts having some high level conversations. Most of that was just background information. There wasn't a lot of high level conversation going on there. Everybody pretty much fit their role. Like I said, I called it early. Young girls are gonna think about, I don't need a relationship. It's not that important. Older people will be like, yeah, relationships are important. It's just that's just the way things are. So it'd be interesting to see where they take that conversation. And you can see it already. They got another episode here, so we definitely gonna break down another one. As a matter of fact, we might do this one next, but if it is, it's gonna be a part 2, just because I got other stuff to take care of real quick. But we're gonna reset the stage, and I'm gonna stay ghost to the next time. Peace. Welcome back, guys. We're gonna look at it. We're looking at Anton Daniels again. And we're back for part 2 of the podcast. I don't think this show has a name yet, so this is the first. This is the first one he's done, so he might not be caring about that. But what we're talking about today, we're talking about the friend zone. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call this one. My prediction here: men and women can't be platonic friends. And my prediction here is that the younger women don't see it like that. They think that men and women can definitely be friends. No. Because the guys want to have sex with you. They're not your friend. No. But let's get into it.
I might have right now, I'm not gonna put them in the same category as like my little brother's friends who I grew up with. That's
it's a
totally
little brother.
different.
Okay.
Different perspective.
So how old are you? How old?
I'm 22. My
How
birthday
old?
That's
coming
different.
up.
That's different.
How
Okay.
old are they?
It's a little brother.
How old are they? They're 20 now.
Yeah, so
They-
they
hey,
little boys.
the little
Never mind.
Them little boys.
They literally like
Yeah,
my
they
little
boys.
Never mind. It's the same thing. Yeah. I thought she was going to say like they're 16 and 17. Nah, they 20. Give them an opportunity, yeah.
She ain't looking at him like that.
Yeah,
See
no,
those
it's your friend,
real-
little brother.
Little Thundercats get active.
Yeah, it's your
I mean,
little
they
brother.
might be looking at
Do they
her
dig
like that,
at
but
her?
she not looking
But I
at
don't
him
think
like
so.
that.
Do they
Yeah.
dig get hard?
They're 20.
I don't think so.
No.
I went. Okay, here's some more
Do
background.
it. I
The high
think
school
you
I went
do.
to, I was the only black kid in my whole high school.
Okay.
And when I tell you I didn't figure out I was cute until I got to school here, I like nobody was looking at me in my high school. They was like, that's the black girl. Like all she do is go to the gym. Like this shit. And I was bigger than everybody. Like they all about 5'8". Not doing.
So she ostracized herself. That don't mean that if given the opportunity, they wouldn't have tried to have sex with her. They just figured that she was because she. This goes back to that last show that I did, and she was talking about how busy her schedule is. Yeah, if you ostracize yourself, then you remove yourself from all opportunities. But you got to be careful with that because at a certain point, those opportunities are going to be gone. So, I mean, as long as you're okay with it, then you like it. I love it. Yeah.
Very much like I used to come back every summer like I grew in it, and they'd be like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like they
Stop
wasn't
growing.
looking at
They
me
wasn't
no
checking
type
for
of
her
way.
like that.
It was different, but like if I would have been in this.
So are your
environment,
brothers
it would be
friends
different.
white?
Yeah.
It
I don't
comes
even
in
think
waves.
it's necessarily needing a man or a woman, but just having somebody be like, congratulations on you hit this milestone, or
Have somebody
hey,
be
you
your biggest
slacking in this. Hey, let me help you. You know, somebody you can build with.
Yeah.
That's
Somebody
what I
that's
think
gonna
about
have
when
your
I
back.
think about relationship. Like it's not, oh, I need this person. You do need that.
Yeah.
You do need somebody to be, you know,
need
hold
to
you
be married to
accountable.
that person, or you just need that type of
Ah,
relationship?
now that's the question. That's the question because everything changes, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, you know, the question that's being asked, because a lot of people say they want companionship, but what does that look like? Does that look like a relationship? Does that look like marriage?
A marriage to me. I mean, a relationship, of course, in the beginning, but I
How,
mean,
how long do you got to date a guy?
Miss, the only thing a man is good for is carrying groceries is talking about a marriage. I don't believe. I'm shocked because how you gonna talking about being with somebody for forever and then the only thing they good for is carrying some bags? Okay.
Before you start getting antsy and saying that, yo, where my ring at?
I ain't been in a relationship longer than a year.
Ever?
I mean,
I'm with you.
once when I was in high school.
She's not that old.
Like
my-
what? I mean, I was
the
a
first
senior,
relationship
but
that I was in
nah.
was freshman year of college. I was 18 years old, and
Damn.
yeah, and I was with him for what? We gonna say 8 months, but it was really like 5. For
Hey,
real.
was it a
Like,
good 8 months? You had
no,
some fun?
it was a
Well, why was
terrible
you
8
doing
months.
this?
I don't know.
Like, what the
Everybody come to me.
What?
You know, yeah. Sometimes you really can't say
all
why
my
you
friends,
Like, this my
all-
toxic boyfriend.
No, all my friends be like, "What was you
James.
doing?"
What
I
was
don't
his
know.
name? What was his name?
You don't. It's
Not
not
James.
important. It's not important. But like
That
all
boy
my
James
friends literally
was-
will sit back and they'll be like, "What was you doing? Why did you do that?" And I'm like, "Bitch, I don't know what I did that for. Like it happened. Can we move past it? Like I don't even like we don't speak about it." So.
If you really want to know what was going on, she may not want to admit it, but it was obvious to me. She already told us. It's because she's so busy that she didn't think anybody was attracted to her. So you get one guy who literally says, you know what? I don't care how big she is. I'm still going to go talk to her. And lo and behold, that's what happens. And then when you end up in the relationship, she's under the impression that, well, if I don't make this work, I'm never going to meet anybody else. Her schedule calls her to have, most women her age have an abundance mindset to the point where, yeah, well, if this guy's, I'm okay with turning this guy down because there'll always be others, right? I think in her case, it was actually the opposite. I mean, I'm just guessing here, but I mean, at a certain point, it's I don't know. It's starting to get, I don't know if you call it guessing, because some of this stuff is textbook. Yeah, I read a psychology book once upon a time. But yeah, that again, she strikes me as an overachiever. Overachievers come with certain personality traits. And yeah, after a while, you can start to predict what's going on in their life. Yeah. Just the way it is. Overachievers definitely have their benefits, but they have their drawbacks too. So.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing.
No, it's not like bad.
But what made it bad though? Why you say it was bad?
It just like it didn't work. Like we didn't.
So
we
with
didn't
that being your
click,
first
like,
relationship, what were you expecting out of the
I don't
relationship?
know. I don't know what I expected because when I was growing up, there weren't any healthy relationships in my household.
Okay.
So when I
source
saw,
relationships.
My dad wasn't there, so my little sister dad was there.
There you
my
go.
My mom just beefed out. They was duking it out all the time. I didn't know what a healthy relationship was. Got to high school, my mom had a fiance or whatever.
Starting to come together now, right? Again, home life is not that great. Okay, so she's staying busy in school, which is actually pretty smart because it keeps you out of that toxic stuff that's going on at home. The problem is that her relationship muscles are not that strong just because she stays so busy that you don't get a chance to develop them. What I was gonna ask is that when this toxic guy she's talking about, where was her father at? Because usually at that age, yeah, your dad gonna have something to say. But if he's not around and you got different men trying to fill that role, that can be complicated. So, I mean,
Another unhealthy relationship. I never saw something that was like
Okay.
genuine and how it was supposed to be. So I'm just like going in blind, kind of like
Yeah.
I know what it's not supposed to be, but I don't
Right.
know what it's supposed to be at the same time. Like I can see red flags, but I don't know what to look for, like as far as what's great. You feel me?
Right.
So I get in this relationship, and dude trying to tell me like, "Oh, you can't wear that out," and I'm like,
Watch
Hold
it.
on.
What-
Hold
hey.
on. I said I can't.
What was it that he didn't want you to wear out?
It wasn't anything crazy though. Like I
Sure it
respect
wasn't.
myself, and I definitely like. It's just
it's never
like, oh, your
that
cheeks
crazy.
or like-
Yeah.
Was your cheeks hanging out?
No. Now they hang out more now. They hang out more now. Like now, I'm like, I don't care. My ass is gonna be out if it's gonna be out. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
But back then, it's like, okay,
So
when
that's
I
what
was
I'm
no,
saying,
listen,
though.
look. When I was
Like-
18, I didn't know I was cute yet. So
That's
I was,
that's a superpower.
You do understand what I'm
Hey,
saying?
when you
Like,
find out,
you
like,
understand what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Hey, that's like a
You know what I'm
superpower.
saying?
You can talk.
Sometimes this stuff is textbook. I'm telling you.
People like,
Like I didn't know I was
calm
cute
down.
yet. I didn't know I was like that yet. So
Right.
he's still telling me like I don't know about this, I don't know about that, and like he was just really controlling. Like this might sound. People always say when I say this like, oh, like I was in the gym. all the time
Controlling.
growing up. I played sports like to be away from my home life. I was
I'm
in
not-
the
I'm
gym
not buying it.
Before school, after school, until I went home and went to sleep. I have brothers. I'm friends with a lot of my brother's friends, like strictly friends. Like I have a
Yeah.
lot of guy friends. They'd be like, "Oh, she's a hoe for that." No, like platonic guy friends. I got with
No,
him.
you
I
don't.
can't talk to none of them.
Somebody please call her on this, because
I can't talk
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
I wasn't
That's
going
an
for all
insecure
that.
thing. That's
Right.
what.
And I wasn't
Well, you
going
know,
for all
It's
that.
it's not insecure.
And then like,
That ain't got nothing to do with you.
It's not insecure if all your male friends are trying to have sex with you, which they are.
They ain't got nothing
So
to do
let me
with
ask you
you.
a question, right?
what's up?
And this is for everybody. Do you genuinely think that these guys are your friends, or do you think that you just friend zoning them?
The ones that I grew up with, like my brother's friends, I
Yeah.
think they're my friends. There definitely are some guys out there who are like just friends on, like, oh, that's gang. But you know, deep down on the inside, if you were like, what's up with it? Come over. He would be like, I'm on it. Like, nigga, I mean, she was going fast as hell. But like,
So do you think that the dudes, even the dudes that you grew up with, if you sent them a text today, and you was like, "Hey, yo," I mean, you know what I'm saying?
They trying to fuck.
I don't think the ones that I'm like
all of them not gonna be thirsty about it, but
that little sister shit go out the window.
They trying to fuck, okay?
My little brother
trying to fuck.
been dating
Not all the time. Some
great
best friends. They definitely, because every guy don't come off like that. Like he not gonna push up on you, or he might not even come off like that. Like he might just be. But if you tell that nigga you wanna fuck, he's gonna be down.
But he might not be on the offense. You ain't always gotta be on the offense trying to fuck.
That's what I just said. Every guy not just gonna be like, ooh, I'm trying to, he could be cool as hell and just be in the friend zone and be cool as hell this whole time. Y'all could get grown and he'd be like, I want to fuck. He's gonna say yes.
I think if like the people I grew up around, I think if they were different, then I would answer it differently. Like
unless he friends with your brother, and then it'd be like a respect kind of
different.
Thing.
But that don't mean that he don't.
It can be like a little brother, little sister type of relationship.
Yeah, like when I look at my brother's friends,
No,
it's
not.
brother. Like I don't.
But
I don't
what do
call
you
people
think?
brother.
It's usually only women who say that because they don't know how women who say that don't know how men think. And I'm telling you, no, it's not like that. No, they will 100% are trying to have sex with you. They will do it. You open the door, they're gonna run through it. It's clockwork, 100%.
If I even think like,
What do
it's a
you
little
think
bit
that they
weird.
look at you like though?
Like that's my big sister. Like I'll call her like that's what I.
Cause you taller than them? Or you older?
Oh man, yeah, that's the only reason.
A guy friend that I might have right now, I'm not gonna put them in the same category as like my little brother's friends who I grew up with. That's totally different.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like my little
So
brother.
how old are you? How old?
I'm 22. My
How
birthday
old-
That's
coming
different.
up.
That's different.
How old
Okay.
are they?
It's a little brother.
How old are they? They're 20 now.
Yeah,
They-
they
they-
little boys.
the little
Them
homies.
No,
little
they're not.
boys.
No, they're not.
They little boys. She ain't looking at them like that. See those
Little
real.
brother.
Little Thundercats get active.
Yeah, it show you
I
that
mean,
little
they
brother.
might be looking at
Do they
her like
dig
that, but
it
she.
Testosterone levels are the highest when you're in your late teens, early 20s. It don't take much. And I'm telling you, her so-called little guy friends, you give them the opportunity. Like I said, you leave the door open, they're gonna run through it. You can sit there and believe that, oh nah, they just my brother's friends. Okay. Telling you.
She not looking
But I
at
don't
him
think
like
so.
that.
Do they get hard?
They're 20.
I don't think so.
No.
There you go. He asked the
here's
question,
my
and
background.
the answer
In
is
high
yes.
school, I was the only black kid in my whole high school.
Okay.
And when I tell you I didn't figure out I was cute until I got to school here, I like nobody grew it in. So they'd be like, yeah.
Okay, we heard the rest. We've already heard this part. So, yeah, this is again, we get more background information. They're not having a high level conversation here, but I think there's still a lot of value here because we get some actual background information as it goes to character. I'm not sure if they're trying to do that on purpose or because she's telling a lot about herself. I don't know if she's doing that subconsciously or consciously, but you get, because it goes to when you learn about somebody's source relationships, you learn a lot about them, and it's very telling. Again, that when she talked about her schedule before, she's super busy. She's too busy to be in relationships. You talk about her home life, her source relationship with her father. That's non-existent. Home life is kind of, sort of, maybe stable, not really, but again, it speaks to what she's throwing herself into. The schedule that she has tells me that she's very ambitious, and that ambition is keeping her safe right now. But again, if you want to talk about you want to have marriage and family, well, when are you going to have time? You have to make time to do these things. It's not just going to happen overnight just because you're ready. A lot of women feel like that, though, and it's just not the case. When you start to get older, at a certain point, guys are going to have the leverage, especially if you're talking about marriage, right, in a long-term relationship. And a lot of these guys are just going to be like, nah, I'm not really into that right now. You may be, but the guys you want, are they interested in marriage at that time? I'll just be honest with you. Most of the guys that a lot of the ladies are chasing, no, they try and say, if they're gonna get married, they usually try and get married in their 20s. And yeah, in most cases it doesn't work out just because. We'll get into that another time. But look, this is, like I said, we learned a lot about here because I haven't had to break down somebody's thought patterns, how they think. I haven't had to do that in a while. It was actually kind of refreshing to do that. Now, am I like a professional at this? No. All I'm doing is I'm basically just guessing. Now, whether or not if you can follow my thought process, if you think I did a good job, leave a comment below. Or like the video anyway. Yeah. But if you disagree with me, leave a comment. Helps with the engagement. And believe it or not, I actually respond for right now. I assume at some point this probably get out of control. But yeah, right now I respond to comments. So if you think differently about some stuff, say something. But I'm gonna say it goes to the next time. Peace. Mike here, Money, Marriage, and Media, and today we're looking at Lapeef Jr. We're back with the ladies again from The Solution. Now, why do we keep coming back here? Because, well, little birdie told me that behind closed doors, when it's just women, they actually do hold each other accountable. And we've seen it happen here on this show, so I'm going to keep highlighting this because we do need more women holding women accountable. So let's go ahead and see what we're talking about today. Should women sacrifice their happiness to keep the family together? Now, I think I know where this is going, but hey, you never can tell, right? High-level conversations is what we're looking for. They tend to have it on this show. That's why I keep trying to highlight, and we keep coming back here. And as long as they're having it, we're going to keep coming back. It is what it is. Let's go.
If he's not bringing in his weight, he does no longer make her happy. She doesn't want to be with him. Should she still try to make it work regardless because she already has baby number 2? Because we sit here and say, bring back shame, do this, do that. But if you got yourself in a situation with a man you no longer desire to be with, but you have their child or you're carrying their child, should you just suck it up and just suffer for the long run?
Absolutely not.
Remember the vows, till death do us part. That's what you said. Live up to it.
Absolutely not. No, women used to do that. Women used to do that when they didn't have any other option. And then they were unhappy for years, just dealing with a man that they didn't want to be with just for the family. And, regardless, some people are like, oh, do it for the kids. And like the kids see that mom and dad aren't happy. The kids see that you guys aren't in love anymore. So it's like, what are you really doing it for? So that's.
Here's the problem, though. What she's talking about is there's a little bit of truth, but most of it's misinformation. See, she's equating children growing up without their father versus seeing mom and dad argue. It doesn't. There's a big difference there, and it's disparaging to see that this type of that this info gets used in this argument. Because the reality is that having when both parents are still there, they both still raise the kids, versus you trying to do it on your own, which is the real dilemma there. Because let's face it, when these relationships end, it's women who usually get the kids, and now that woman has to go out there and try and do everything on her own. Versus, okay, well, mommy and daddy are still fighting. Well, first off, why are you fighting? What are you fighting over? And I'm almost certain someone's going to bring up some extreme case where, somebody is getting beaten to death or something like that. But the majority of the times when divorce happens, because we keep track of with marriages on this side of the camera, when the majority of the time when marriages are over or there's a divorce involved, that's not the reason. The number one reason is for divorce, no fault divorce. It's not because somebody almost died in a fight. But I may be going in the wrong direction, though. Let's keep going and find out.
That's the question that I want to know. And it just, in your mental health, you being happy means everything. And if
you're not happy, your kids see it, it passes down. I don't think any woman should do that. Do I think you should try? Absolutely. If it's something that can be fixed or worked on, absolutely. Don't just, skate out just because if it's something that is fixable. But if there's no reconciliation.
Here's the thing. Again, the marriage vows, till death do you part. That means that you're in it for the long run. So almost everything is fixable. It's not if it can't be fixed. No, most things can't. The vast majority of things can. And again, the exceptions, we don't need to discuss those because those don't happen that often.
And that can happen, and it's just over with, then leave.
Let's go in order. Chanel, what do you think? Should a woman sacrifice? And thank you, Curse for Life. That was a good one.
Curse for Life, modern woman, everybody. Thank you.
Chanel, do you think a woman should sacrifice her happiness and just put up with it because she decided to have a baby? That was her choice. Is that how she takes responsibility, is by marrying that man and being with him and just sticking it out because they have kids together or a kid together?
I want to know what the sacrifice is. If it's cheating, that's really up to that woman, especially if children are involved, or abuse. In my personal opinion, abuse and cheating are two things that I think should be separated from this.
What if he's not financially pulling his weight? What if
it's not financially pulling his weight? Life goes on. Things change. You get promotions. You get better jobs. You get better education. Stick it out. Why are we giving, yes, back in the days, the women didn't have much education or financials or what have you. But today, women are doing so much better financially. Why are we giving up a family, especially with children involved, because he's not making money? Those things can change. And then you also, from what I said prior, seeing who he is before marrying him, before children, you would know the type of man he is already.
I'm glad one of them said it. You need to pick better. Just because you get proposed to doesn't mean you need to accept. But the other thing she hinted at is that that things do change, right? He may have been the breadwinner and then fell on hard times. Okay. I'm gonna have to speak up for the guys on this one a little bit because we see this all too often about women who want to flex their career and the amount of money that they're making. Okay, if you're that type of woman, got no shame for you. But you can't sit there and complain about the guy not making enough money. When y'all met, you was bragging about what you do. You got your own business. You making all this money. If that's the case, then pick up the guy. You go be the breadwinner until he gets back on his feet. It may be a while, but if you're married, you don't have an alternative. Well, the alternative is you don't complain about it. You don't complain about the lifestyle drop or anything like that. You support that man till he gets back on his feet. Or you take over as being the breadwinner. I mean, if you're going to sit there and brag about how independent you are or how much money you making, how great your career is, how you're focused on it, I'm going to just be honest. The way some of y'all ladies talk about this stuff, you might need to be signed up to be the breadwinner in the beginning anyway, because that's the only way that your money is going to mean anything. But even then, that doesn't happen until after you get married. Before marriage, most guys are not going to care about your career or anything like that. Why? Because most women still want the man to pay for the dates. So, because we know that if we're responsible for paying for the dates, how does your money help us do that? It doesn't. That's why we don't care. But in the situations where I'm talking about, right? Okay. If the guy falls on hard times, then you're supposed to stick it out. Money is not a reason for divorce. It's not, for richer or for poorer. You're supposed to stick it out and make it work. So my advice is in that situation, number one, the guy needs to come up with a plan of how he's going to get back on his feet. And you should be accepting of that. And you got to hold it down until he does. And sometimes plans don't work out. But again, you signed up for the long haul when you said I do. So You know, it's just what it is. Or figure out how to make it work if you're the breadwinner. If the guy is, and see, this is where we got to take some accountability, because, you know, let's say that you fall on hard times, and then, you know, the plan for you to get back on your feet is not working as fast as you want it to. Okay, well, don't just sit there and cry about it. You better suck it up and start doing the other things that need to get done around the house. You're not going to tell me that the number of meals you're cooking is not going to increase. You know, the amount of laundry that you're doing should go up. You're not just sitting around because, no, you can't be lazy and be in your feelings about, well, man, I ain't making as much money. Okay, well, money is not everything. You need to pick up the slack in your responsibilities and start finding other ways to be valuable to your marriage. Plain and simple. I know it sucks. And guys are going to call you, and guys on YouTube or whatever, they'll call you, oh, he's a beta and all this other stuff. First off, I don't believe in that crap. You got to make it, because it's you and your wife in the marriage. You need to figure out how it's going to work. So let's move on, because we're getting off topic.
Hardworking man, he's going to make money eventually.
Thank you. That's it right there.
To see through the eyes of him. Is he leading you to something, or is he leading you off a cliff? There's a difference. The type of man that you marry, a quality man, will actually lead you and tell you what is going on, how he's moving, what the plans are. Now, sacrificing happiness. Happiness is fleeting. There are going to be times where you hate him. There are going to be times where you love him. You just want to be all up in his skin, as my mom would say. There's ebbs and flows to relationships, like I said before. Happiness is fleeting. What you need is joy. And my last point is, us as Black people in the United States, we've been doing the I'm happy so much. Where has it gotten us today?
On the bottom in most statistics. Yeah.
Destruction. We need to start thinking of the collective. We keep doing individual, and now we're all over the place. Let us come together, come to a consensus, and actually try to be a group. And it starts with family.
You know, what's interesting is that when you think about anything else, let's take it away from relationships, right? Let's say it's in a career. Okay, well, you want to be the best? Name me a career where being the best doesn't come with sacrifice. You're going to have to do things that other people are not willing to do. Now, we take it back to relationships. That means that you're going to have to work through your happiness. And that sounds crazy, I know, but the reality is that you're not going to be happy. Why? Because you're going to have to give up things in order to make the relationship work. But again, well, why should I have sacrificed all that? What should I take on all that risk, that marriage, and she's going to leave me and take half my stuff? Because you want to build a legacy. Because you want your kids to be at the best. You want your kids to be great. Nobody said it was going to be easy. How come we apply that to everything else in life but marriage? Well, these laws work against me. That's right, they do. And you're going to have to suck it up and make it work. Especially if you're a man and you're talking about, and you want to build a legacy like 99% of men want. I mean, if you figure out a way to build a more sustainable way of building a big legacy than having a large family, especially if you're talking about you want to set your kids up for success. I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, if you don't want kids, you want to build your own legacy and, you know, in your lifetime, and don't get married, but don't have kids either. So we need to get rid of this stigma about, or we need to get rid of the idea of, well, we don't have to be married in order to. No, the results say you do. The data says the best environment is in a marriage. That's the best environment to raise kids. So, you know, you're going to have to take a risk. Yes, there's some risk involved with marriage. I'm not denying that. But, you know, name me something that has a great upside with no risk in it. I'll wait.
So you'll be unhappy for a little bit because he gets on your nerves or she gets on his nerves, whatever. But marriage is not just about happiness. There's so much more to it. You build.
Because, you know, the society is telling women, choose you, choose happiness, even if it's at the extent of breaking up the family. You gotta.
Yeah, society tells you that, but it's funny. The people that say that, are they at the bottom with us? They're not, huh? So I don't know why we want to listen to them, because they're not doing it in their communities. Might be something to that. Might be something to that.
Do what you gotta do. The kids will be okay. They'll see their dad every other weekend.
Kids will not be
They'll
okay.
fine.
The
Society
statistics
tells.
are against us. They are against us when it comes to that. We all know the statistic. Children that grow up in a mother and father home who are married are the best of the best. I'm not saying that they're perfect and they'll never commit crimes and they'll never do, but they are the top when it comes to those statistics. So why not set yourself up for success? Why not?
Miss Taken, how do you feel about that?
Unmute yourself first so we can hear you.
I said, repeat the question.
The question.
I gotta make sure I have it right.
Should a woman sacrifice her happiness at the extent of keeping the family together? So, as an example, Summer Walker, if her boyfriend or whatever is having financial difficulties, seeming
Old guy here, I'm 41. I don't know who Summer Walker is. Apparently, whoever she is, she's been going through it. Let me know in the comments if it's worth doing some research and putting together a video, because it's not the first time I've heard that name before, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
like he can't get it together, he can't pull his weight, or a woman who's just no longer happy being with that man. He doesn't make her happy. He's not satisfying her needs. She's tried and tried again, and at this point, it's like either become a 2-time baby mama or stick it out. What do you think?
All right. So, is it different? I think if you, because I've seen a situation where a guy that I know got someone pregnant and married her because he was like, I don't want her to be another statistic. I want to do the right thing, right? And he married her. And then ended up having another kid with her, within a marriage. But because he knew he never loved her to begin with, in his mind, he's like, I'm gonna just sacrifice, and I'm, just not gonna deal with,
Okay, this is one of the times where I actually don't believe that you should marry the woman. That's a tough situation to be in. But the reality is that you got just because this is why I say that stop sleeping with women who you can't see being a future wife, because of situations just like what she's talking about. So you avoid those, because once the sex is over, you have no leverage. You put your future in somebody else's hands. Don't do that. You lose all power. You lose all leverage. And you put that into somebody's hands who more than likely does not have your best interests at heart. The lady that she's talking about in this example, she says she knows the guy, right? Well, the lady that she's talking about, she didn't love that guy. She didn't. Because women who are, if you're on the same page, they're not going to want to have the kid before you're ready. Now, if you guys haven't discussed that, then that's your fault. You shouldn't have a sexual relationship with somebody who you haven't discussed the possibility of having kids with. That's just the disaster. The exact disaster that's waiting to happen is what she's talking about.
I'm gonna just be in this marriage, knowing that I'm not necessarily in love with her, but be there for the kids. The end result was they got divorced anyway.
Big surprise.
And then he remarried and is now in a happy marriage with, 2 kids. So in that regard, I don't think if it happens before you get married, I don't think you should move forward in a marriage when you already know that the odds are against you to begin with, and you're going into a marriage knowing you're not happy with this person, knowing that you already have issues with this person, to just go and get married to them anyway for the sake of the kids. I think you're doing a disservice to the kids, because the likelihood of that marriage working, you're going to end up divorced anyway. So now that's more trauma that I would think the kids will go through, because they've seen the parents together and now they're separated. However, I do think it's different when you're already married.
It is.
I do believe that, and I know a lot of people don't want to, hear this, but I mean, like Chanel said, when you are married, it ebbs and flows. There's going to be times where you're unhappy in your marriage. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the partner. Sometimes the partner becomes the scapegoat, but it's your own unhappiness, and it's easier to kind of scapegoat somebody else.
Oh, no, she didn't say that. No. Let's take it. They're going to come take you out. You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that on camera. No, the sisterhood gonna take you out. You can't say that. She's right, but man, if she don't show up in the next episode, we know what happened.
Like, if he only picked up his shoes, or if he only did this, I would be happy, but it's not that. But because it ebbs and flows, and happiness, just like anger, just like sadness, all of those are fleeting emotions. So if you still have the same core values, the same beliefs, the same goal, I do think you should sacrifice your happiness, I would say, for a period of time. Because again, just like you can fall out of happiness, you can fall back into it. I think a lot of times we don't give enough time for that to happen. We don't like sitting in discomfort. We don't like being in a phase of unhappiness. So we automatically look for the thing to make us feel good or make us not feel bad. And in a marriage, you can't do that. You're gonna have to sacrifice. And sometimes that sacrifice may be your happiness, because it's not just about you. It's about the kids, it's about the husband, and vice versa. But I think if you have a foundation of what your ultimate goal is, then I think sacrificing your happiness for a period of time, I'm not saying live a whole miserable, 20 years of marriage, or whatever, when it becomes, now at that point, it becomes a mental issue for you, where you can't fully show up in your marriage to your husband or your kids. I'm not saying if you're, in that situation, but I do think there were times in my marriage where I was unhappy. He knew it. There were times that he was unhappy. I knew it, because we still communicated with each other. But the bottom line was, how do we work through it? What do we need to do to make it better? And that's where the conversation needs to be, so you can be there for the kids.
I don't have anything. I don't have any commentary to add, except that we got to get her some GPS tracker and put it in her skin or something. Man, she might not be here no more. The sisterhood go take her out. You can't say that stuff in public, boy. They'll come for you. Woo! Oh boy. Okay. All right.
Miss Tay, can you change my whole mind? I appreciate that. I appreciate your take on that, for real.
Yeah.
Women holding women accountable. And y'all told me it doesn't happen. I'm sitting. My source on that was 100% right. I'm telling you, it happens live on this show. We got to start. We're gonna be looking more at the solutions. Again, JR, if you watching this, I see why you call it that now, because that was real talk right there from a married woman, and she just gave you the real what it really means to be married. Right? Again, the vows mean something.
Thank you.
Chamonix.
So I absolutely agree with Mistaken and Chanel. I compromise, so it's all about compromising. And you're right. Feelings fleet, they're fleet, they come and they go. But I would just say the only exception to that is if it turns into like alcohol, being, an alcoholic, or if you're so miserable where you're lashing out at the kids, or you are doing things in front of the kids that can be almost abuse, not hands-on abusive, but just not a good environment for your children. That's the only way. Other than that, if you guys are two adults and you're able to communicate effectively and you're able to work together to raise your children in a healthy environment, I say stick it out.
Yeah, and she's 100%. Look, we're gonna leave it here because this clip is almost done anyway, right? So, the synopsis here is we got to look out for Mistaken because we don't want nothing to happen to her. Gems, just dropping gems all over the place. Changing hearts and minds. But more importantly, I don't want to end this video without talking about what Shantae was talking about when those. When you have the things that she mentioned, y'all go back and listen because I'm not going to recap that. But the things that she mentioned, those are not reasons to end a marriage. Because again, if you're talking about something like alcoholism and other forms of addiction that come up because of the unhappiness, well, you need to seek the help of a licensed professional. I mean, that's what they're there for, right? And you need to seek some kind of some counseling or some form of therapy. Right? Because that's what they're there for. But the whole point is that you stay together. It's too much at stake and we can't make it without each other. So look, guys, this is definitely this is probably one of the better videos that I've seen from the PJR. So we're going to hold it. They're holding it down and we're going to keep it there. And I'm going to say goes to the next time. Peace. You know who I am. You know why we're here. Lapeef JR. Let's go. What are we looking for? Let's say it together, boys and girls. High-level conversations. Why? Because the gender war is dumb. Let's go.
If the question is, should women sacrifice their happiness? Absolutely not. To sacrifice it means to put a total end to it, right? If we're talking about should women compromise their happiness, absolutely.
Can you elaborate on that? What's the difference between compromise and
please
choosing, sacrificing?
Yeah, so sacrifice, if we're looking at like the definition of it, sacrifice means to kill something off. Whether it's for a higher good or whatever, sacrifice means like there's a total end to it. We're not coming back to this. That's it. That's all. It's gone forever.
Right? Maybe that is the case for some. I think that's the case for some women. They're like, I tried for years. I'm not.
This is what you call arguing semantics. That's not what the question was talking about, and we all know it.
Sticking it out, I'm not happy.
Right. And so, like, to me, if the question is, should women sacrifice their happiness? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because we earlier in this conversation were talking about what it means to be a good father and not necessarily a good partner. For a woman to sacrifice her happiness in a marriage, that's you being a good mother and not a good partner. That still shows up in that dynamic. That still sets an example to what that standard is for their children. And if we're looking at community building, if we have multiple people in marriages doing that, what kind of community are we actually building to say that women have to put aside this thing that fundamentally is a part of the human experience? Women have to dead that in order to raise other children that are part of this community. I think it's an awful thing to do. Compromise? Absolutely. Absolutely compromise. Understand the ebbs and flows. Understand that happiness is fleeting. But to make it out to be something that you should never even attain, just write it off. We're never getting back to this. This is just a part of your role in a marriage.
So what does it mean if your happiness comes from children and family? you know, there's studies out there that says that for women, the happiness comes from children and family. So, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not even. We gonna. Yeah, we move it on.
I think that's absolutely wild.
But men sacrifice every day for the family. So I think sacrifice can be appropriate because a lot of men are saying this is your duty.
So when you,
as long as you do your duties as a wife and your role as a wife, then that's all that matters. So because that doesn't mean like.
So when you say that, B. Taylor, what does that look like for a man to sacrifice? What is a man sacrificing in a marriage?
Men sacrifice as in they may not be able to go for a job that they really love that's passionate because they got to provide. They can't go and get a weaving degree or something like that. Maybe that's what they
even exist.
I don't know. I hear that all the time and I'm like, what is that? But what if he wanted to be a painter? What if he wanted to be a singer, a comedian? But it's like, no, I have children to feed. Therefore, I can't play around and live out those dreams. I need to go and work because I have to provide for my family. I have to bring in that income. So men do sacrifice. I'm going to give them that. They do sacrifice. And some men are not happy in relationships.
You will sit here and tell me that was an honest question from her? That she didn't know, well, no, guy, what do men sacrifice? Really? No, a wise man once said, women are born with value and men must create theirs. You're not creating value from nothing. Or no, you do have to create your value from nothing. And it takes work to get that done. And it doesn't happen overnight. So you're talking about decades of work to build yourself up as a man. You think they're doing that for nothing? No, they're doing it with a purpose. Because I want to be able to provide for a family. Well, it takes decades, it takes years to build that up. She doesn't see that as a sacrifice. Wait. Let's hold off. Let me think about this for a second. I'm wrong. I shouldn't be surprised. Because again, most women have no knowledge of the male experience. That's it right there. Can't get mad at her. You know, women are not equipped to handle masculine problems. The things you as a man are sacrificing or having to give up, masculine problems. I can't expect her to understand it. But I also don't recommend that you as a man you should put up with a woman like that. Because if she ain't trying to figure it out, she's not trying to understand your perspective. If you're not married to her yet, go find you somebody else, man. Because that's not worth it. That's an eternal struggle. It's never gonna. That's a never-ending story. Don't do it.
Relationships. They're not happy, but they sacrifice because they know that they don't benefit from divorce. They don't benefit when they can't see their kids. They don't benefit from a broken family. Men actually suffer more from a broken family because they're going to be put on child support and
right.
all of that. So I'm just saying for a woman, sacrifice, you could still, that doesn't mean you're going to be a bad wife or a bad mom. I'm just saying she's putting herself last, as in she's not choosing herself. She's putting everybody before her.
So I hear what you're saying, right? And we don't have to take it to the extreme of like a weaving degree, right? But I get what you're saying, that some men sacrifice their dreams in order to provide a certain lifestyle for their family. But like, are we going to pretend like that doesn't show up in those dynamics? That resentment doesn't show up in those relationships?
Can I just point?
Miss Taken just rolled her eyes. Oh man, y'all killing me, man. Come on, let's go back and look at that again. Maybe that again. I might be wrong. I want to see this.
Like, are we going to pretend like that doesn't show up in those dynamics? That resentment doesn't show up in those relationships?
Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that? Hold on, let's look at it again. I might be wrong.
But, like, are we going to pretend like that doesn't show up in those dynamics? that resentment doesn't show up in those relationships.
Well,
No, I'm wrong. She didn't do it. Nope. She didn't roll her eyes when she said that. Nope. Didn't happen.
Just point out, I know you gave the definition of sacrifice. I'm just using the dictionary.com, and you know how sometimes you have definitions and it'd be like 8 different definitions for the same word. Well, looking at this definition is what I think a relationship in terms of sacrifice means. It says to surrender or give up or permit injury or disadvantage to for the sake of something else. And I think when you are in a relationship, especially in a marriage, there will be a lot of sacrifices on both sides. There will be a lot of giving up of things to gain something else, which is the marriage is the overall goal, right?
That's what being in a marriage is all about. It's funny how the married woman knew that, and she actually knew to look up the definition while in the middle of the show, because every now and then it does. Inez is not she's not the first person to do this. This happens almost every podcast that you look at. You got somebody that gets a different interpretation of whatever it is you're talking about. It actually makes for a good show when you have different opinions. But to me, it just gets it's a cringe moment when it's when you get that person that's really like everyone's kind of on the same page, and then you just come from something with left field, and it's like, okay, I guess, but no one else is really nobody else took it that way. So it does make you stand out a little bit. And like I said, I'm not going to hold you need point of views like that, because it's a good representation of how some people think. Is it a minority? In this case, yes, because I don't know how she came to that conclusion unless they, I don't know. We're going to leave it alone, though, because I don't agree with her and me talking anymore about it, especially when there's a woman on the panel who is actually addressing it. Let's go.
And then sometimes you are going to, this time I might have to sacrifice, like I had to sacrifice not going to school when I wanted to. I had a goal of trying to get my doctorate degree before I turned 30. But because my husband wanted to go back to school, guess what? I had to sacrifice my goal in that moment to let him do what he needed to do. And then once he finished, he had to sacrifice time with me and taking over more of the role of the household, where he had to do a little more of the cooking for the family because I went back to school. So there are going to be sacrifices in any loving relationship. That's what love is. Love is sacrifice.
So, but mistaken.
It sounds like I said that already. Well.
Like this is what I'm getting at, right? Like we're conflating compromise with sacrifice. You delaying a timeline is not you sacrificing, it's you compromising your timeline. You haven't given up on it completely. It's just your expectations around when you are going to do that has changed. To sacrifice means you are willing to give it up point blank and period. Forever. That's it. We're not coming back to it later. Like sacrifice means that's it. We're killing it off for a higher purpose, right?
Technically it is that, because once they're 18, you can go back to doing.
I can't go back and remake. Like my goal was at 30. That goal is done.
Mistaken. I'm speaking to Inaz. To your point, if you're saying that sacrifice and compromise are two completely different things, but in the scope of a relationship, let's use the timeline of the children are grown up and they're out of the house. Now you can continue on rebuilding your relationship, just you two. So there is a timeline, even in your scenario.
Right. So, but that's the point that I'm making, right? Is that if we're talking about compromise, I'm 100% with that.
Oh my God.
We're never going back to this. We're killing it off. Happiness is not on the table for women.
Chanel just deaded the whole argument right there, and then she says, "Oh, that's my point." What? I mean, you know what? I'm not a smart man, so I guess I just missed the whole part where maybe the conversation is too high level for me, and I'm not smart enough to keep up, because what I thought what she was saying was in completely opposition to what Chanel and Miss Taken were saying, and they were providing great arguments, and then she says, "Well, that's my point," as if they were all in agreement. So I guess I just missed it. Yeah. Well, hey. Like I said, I'm not that smart, so.
If you choose to sacrifice it, then no. The
Hold on a second. Hold on. These facial expressions are killing me. What? Keep an eye on Lady Mogulette.
On the table for women, if you choose to sacrifice it, then no.
You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make this stuff up. Okay. We've stopped it too many times. The flow is all gone, but I don't even care anymore. You want to go watch the whole thing in real time? Go check out Lapeef JR. You can watch it there. Over here, this is the reaction channel, so this is what we do. Because, man, that smirk was something else. 1,000 words came out of that smirk, but we're going to keep moving.
No, the answer is no. Right? If we're saying, okay, we need to maybe renegotiate this, we need to figure out, okay, maybe until the children are grown, until, I get through this one lump. If that's something that you are willing to take on, absolutely. Right?
So, what is your idea of the happiness? What is your idea of happiness when it comes to a relationship? So that way I can understand what you're referring to specifically.
Fulfillment. Feeling fulfilled. And that looks different for each person, and I recognize it.
Another ambiguous term, fulfillment, happiness. See, what she missed is Chanel was trying to get specific get her to lay down specifics so that her argument can be disputed with facts. Because this is debates 101. If the person who has an argument, if they keep things ambiguous, then that means that, well, they can just say anything. But if you get them to, if you minimize and find out what they're actually saying, then that can be open for debate. But if it's just ambiguous and it could mean anything, well, you can't debate that, because they'll just, you leaving the door open for interpretation. Well, here's the downside to that. We're looking for solutions, right? Because again, the gender war is dumb. This is part of the reason why it is dumb, is because you get ambiguous arguments that where you feel like when somebody else says it, you can't figure out what they meant by that. So it leaves everything open to interpretation. No, we need, this is why facts, data, and statistics are so important, because now we can reference it and everybody understands what it means, or almost everyone understands what it means. That means that because why? Because we're reaching a general consensus. But you can't do that with ambiguous statements, because again, they're open to interpretations. That's what's going on here. Now, I'm going to be really impressed if Inez actually says something concrete, because it doesn't look like she's trying to do that.
Nice that, but happiness to me is fulfillment.
So I just wanted to because I feel like Chanel pretty much spoke on, and Miss Taken pretty much spoke on most, if not all, the points that I was gonna make. I literally was gonna say that verbatim. Happiness is fleeting. It's an emotion. Emotions are energy in motion. They're not permanent. That's the only thing that's constant and changing. We are very emotive people in general. So sacrificing happiness, which is fleeting anyway, for the sake of a family, is what's your duty essentially as a woman after you decide to bring forth life into this world.
I'm really impressed to hear someone say that on this panel, outside of Miss Taken. Now, Chanel, she definitely was bringing it earlier. With Lady Mogulette, to hear her say that, because it's the truth. I mean, this is one of the reasons why our community is where it is. It's because, again, both genders are not willing to do what it takes to be successful in relationships. We got the women on the panel, so that's why we focused on women today. But believe me, I have no problem. Well, we'll get to that later, because right now we're looking for high-level conversations from the ladies. So this is why we're here. But again, high-level conversations. I love the accountability with that statement that she made. So let's keep going.
You have committed to being selfless until your children can take care of themselves. And I don't agree that you can be a good mom or father and not do the best that you could do to be respectful or to have that solid foundation for your kid. Yes, it's unhealthy for them. My only caveat there is if the relationship is abusive, then absolutely not. But like, for the sake of those babies, yes, you should totally, as a woman, be willing to sacrifice your happiness for the sake of your children growing up with the support of both parents being present, as long as, again, it's not abusive. As long as...
Yeah, I agree. Because otherwise, if you're doing what Inez is talking about, you just come off as being selfish. And if that's the case, if that's your idea, then don't have kids. I mean, go get you what I would call like a life partner, long-term relationship. Now y'all necessarily don't need to get married, but you guys are committed to each other. I don't see nothing wrong with that. But this whole notion that, and then when you're unhappy, you can walk away or do whatever you want to, because the only person who you're concerned about is yourself. So, you got to get, but I'm starting to ramble here because we need to keep moving.
As again, it's not a detriment to your health or your children's health. Because like, let's be real. Like, again, it's nothing like Mistaken said. When you're in a relationship with someone, or if I've never been married, so I can't speak to being married, but when you're in a relationship with someone, like a long-term relationship, there are ebbs and flows, ups and downs. Some days you're happy, some days you're not. Some days you're in love, some days you're not. Some days you guys are best friends, some days you guys coexist. Like, when you become a parent, you have a duty, like as a parent, to give your children the chance for the best possible outcome. So yeah, I think as a woman, once you've decided to carry life, your duty is to your kids. So that temporary feeling of just being happy all the time, when the focus should be on those babies, I feel like that's,
And this is the other thing too, because like I definitely like to take in what people say and then process it and make sure I look up like information, because I know sometimes we use words interchangeably and words do matter. So I did kind of look up the nuance between compromise and sacrifice. And I do think we do both in relationships in general. So we're saying like with a compromise, you meet a person in the middle. So for example, somebody say, let's meet at 11, the other person say, let's do 11:30. You compromise and you say, let's meet at 11:15. So both people are giving up something, in that regard. But with a sacrifice is a solo, what it was saying is a solo act done to strengthen the bond between two people. So using that same scenario, if one person want to meet at 11, the other person say 11:30, a sacrifice will be, you know what? Just forget it. I'll go ahead and I'll meet you at 11, instead. So I'm not expecting anything in return. I'm just sacrificing my convenience, sacrificing probably what I need to do by a specific time in order to, build this relationship and build this bond together. And I think, again, when I bring it back to the marriage, you're going to find a lot of, not even just marriage, even as a parent relationship, with your children, there are going to be a lot of times that you're going to do things that you don't want to do, that you're not necessarily happy about, but you sacrifice that for the betterment of your kids, and it's the same thing in a marriage. There are going to be certain things that you are just going to sacrifice for the betterment of the marriage. Now, do I think it should always be one-sided? Absolutely not.
Okay. Yeah, you know, we're going to leave it here. Like I said, go check out Lapeef JR. They got this thing. The ladies are on fire tonight. Well, most of them. But here's the thing. You know, one of the keys to marriage is that you have to be able to put yourself in the other person's shoes and see where they are coming from. That will, being able to do that will save you so many headaches and arguments, and it also cuts down on the amount of confusion that comes with, you know, with coming together with another person that is not you. So that's a powerful tool, and yeah, it's a lot of times. This is the problem with men struggle with, because a lot of times, because again, when men are in the leadership role, this is leadership period. It's not just in relationships. This is one of the best bosses or the best supervisors, the best managers are the ones. My father taught me this. He was talking about being the key to being a great parent is remembering what it was like to be a kid. Well, this applies to relationships as well. It's because you have to think about the other person's position. The easier it is for you to put yourself in their train of thoughts, then the more the easier it is going to be to understand that person. So does that mean that you need to be more feminine, men? No, that's ridiculous. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But it speaks to, it'll help cut down the amount of arguments that you're going to have 100%. Because now you can have, instead of an argument, if you can think about put yourself in the mind frame to try and understand your wife, then that means that you're going to cut down on the confusion. Now you understand, okay, well, whoa. I get it now. Avoid the whole argument, because I can understand what she's talking about, right? But it also helps you avoid those, every married guy has been through this, to where your woman's emotions, her mood just up and shifts and goes left. Well, if you can start to understand her better, then it's not as much of a shock to you. Again, you know, all I'm saying is that I've been married for over 10 years, and I've seen, me and my wife have been through ups and downs. That's part of life. So all I'm trying to do is give you guys the benefit of my knowledge, so that the mistakes are going to be made, but how much time you waste by trying to argue things, let's try and cut down on that, right? Because at the end of the day, what good does it do you to win the battle if you lose the war? But look, guys, this great high-level conversation from the ladies. Yeah, we're going to be back here again. But until then, I'm going to stay ghost till the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, but do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right.